What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I'm GameOverGreggy himself, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hola.
The pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty. You get nothing else.
Spanish.
You stop saying... Oh, it's Spanish?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that part. Pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Haven't seen you in a long time. Happy to see you. It's been a
it's
week
good to
since
see
I
you.
saw this little head over here. You got new glasses?
Not so little the head.
Yeah.
The glasses. Glasses are new. I'll swap
Blue
in the other
steel.
one. Yes. That is exactly why where that term came from, actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, they are blue. I didn't even notice that.
He
Look
looks
at
cool.
You.
You look cool.
You look like
a
a cool little Iron Man.
You look like a straight up fucking dork
match,
forever.
They match kind of my earring.
Was that a big
ball bearing.
motivating statute for it?
What I saw is motivating statute. No, I don't think it was a motivating statute for the glasses purchase, but I don't know. You can tell me what that means.
Coming
one
out of
day
the blocks. It's episode 20. I stopped planning what I was going to say to people at the beginning a long time ago. And then, of course, rounding out the group in a checkered shirt that's probably getting all artifact and stuffing on the frames. That's why I can't wear them on Up at Noon.
Way to go, video guy.
That's what they call it. The one and only pure one, Tim Gettys.
Hello.
That's it. No let Tim host bullshit or anything like that? No, you're over that?
Yep.
All right.
No.
Good.
Just for now.
Because we got a lot of stuff to cover here, ladies and gentlemen. First off, Tim, we just got back from PAX East. Holy shit. A lot of GameOverGreggy show
was
fans.
so awesome.
I can't believe it.
I had a lot of fun.
Now, everybody, thank you for coming to the panel. We, of course, did the panel there at the PAX East. We did it on Sunday. It was great. Thank you to Jared and Tim Schafer, or Jared Garretts and Tim Schafer. They're not brothers. They both were on the panel, though. They were on the GameOverGreggy show. Of course, this is all up on Bandcamp. You can go get it there, GameOverGreggy.bandcamp.com. It's free, or you can go over to YouTube, watch the hour-long video we just put up as one clip.
Yeah.
It's all there for you.
I'm really excited that you guys decided to go there and not even tell Colin and I that was happening. So that's cool. Colin, I don't know how you feel about that, but I think it's awesome, right?
I don't care. It's all right. I'm glad they had fun.
A lot of supporters, a lot of shirts there. That was important. Tim, this was your first time, I think, being a celebrity. How'd that feel?
It was a lot of fun.
A lot of people yelled at you. A lot of people said, let you host.
I liked people yelling.
People
That
took
was
photos.
fun.
They took autographs of you.
Shout out to the porn pooper.
Shout
I
out
like
to Porn
that kid.
Pooper. He's
I'm
a
bummed
great
that
kid.
I didn't get to
16-year-old.
meet Porn Pooper.
It's one of those things where I could see his parents being brutally murdered and you adopting him
Yeah.
and taking him under your wing.
I'm not okay. I could do that.
But then it turns out on his 19th birthday, you killed his parents.
Oh man!
But at
I
that
had
point,
to do
he's
it
so
for a
brainwashed.
Was it like prepping the planet for some sort of invasion? Like, why am I killing people?
Well, this is a 16-year-old.
So you know, Nick is now 50 issues through Invincible.
Ooh, doctor. Is it good? You're enjoying it?
It's so good. It didn't start off well for me. I was
It
watching
starts off very traditional.
It starts off. No, it actually doesn't start off. It starts off almost overly traditional for a reason. I was like,
Right.
wow. So by the 12th or 13th issue, I was like, this is kind of boring. Like, this is like an idyllic lifestyle, and like everyone's kind of cookie cutter. And then they flip the switch, and you're like, what? And then they start to play with those traditional tropes. Of
Right.
You know, and he has a lot of fun with kind of calling out the traditional comic book characters and like how they act and what they do. It's really good.
That's why we love that Invincible.
I don't know if I could have hung in there though.
Without us
If I
telling you it
didn't
was
have-
amazing.
No, if I couldn't binge read it, I don't know that I'd
Month to
sit
month hurts. Yeah.
month to month and read it again.
That's
But
why Colin watches his shows like he watches his shows. He just waits them all build up and then he knocks them out.
I do that too, except I just realized something because I watched the Green Lantern, the animated series on Netflix, which is awesome. But I just realized that when I start watching things on Netflix, that is the kiss of death. That means they're not coming back for another series.
Oh, yeah.
I just realized that now, so I'm like, oh, I love this, and then of course I get the heartbreak of I go to look it up, and of course
Done.
it's been canceled
Over.
long. Yeah. The toys didn't sell, so they're canceling Green Lantern. I'm like, no more Wolverine and X-Men.
Okay, so PAX East was great. Huge success. Thank you all for your support. We love you so much. Another part of PAX East was a person named Pandamusk. He made this painting that is now on the wall, adorned here. Of course, it's the Ghostbusters 2 happy ending painting. After they beat Vigo, the painting becomes the Ghostbusters with baby Oscar. So this one, of course, is us with baby Portillo.
Do I need to? Are we singing the theme song, or is it too early in the show to do that?
It's too early for the show right now.
Okay.
On top of that, we have a T-shirt over here that a young lady sent in for a birthday shout-out. Her name is Ashley. Zach, if you're watching, this is your T-shirt. Zach Chapman, it's your birthday on April 23rd, and your wife loves you very much, so she sent us this shirt to sign, which we did.
Hopefully we didn't just spoil that.
I don't care. I think that's a great surprise either way. Wow, this stupid signed shirt shows up, or we're just announcing this. Whatever, he'll be fine. If he buys it for $1 on Friday, good for him. Because of course that's the idea of the GameOverGreggy show. Every week, 4 best friends gather around this table, each bringing a random topic of conversation to you. We post the video over on YouTube, GameOverGreggy.com. We post it starting on Monday, every topic by topic. The full episode goes up Friday. Of course, the Friday before, you could have bought for $1 the high quality MP3 that was the entire show. taking it on the go, doing whatever you want. Have a good time.
That was a really good segue, by the way.
Yeah,
Was it?
man.
That's an awesome
Russ,
segue.
I do this for a living, believe it or not.
I don't.
Now, on top of all that, I think I've hidden this from everybody else. Last week we got bumper stickers or window decals that said "I love goats." Remember we had
Yes.
a polarizing topic a few weeks ago about what would happen with sexual intercourse with a goat, or would you just want the world to think you did? On top of that, another random gift showed up at the office.
Uh-oh.
This is the blow-up Billy Goat. You can hold on to that guy.
man.
My
They sent two, and on the back it says, "Yeehaw, you've just shepherded your own blow-up Billy Goat. Anytime you're in the mood for a roll in the hay, she'll be your sheer delight. Sometimes it feels so good being bad."
Ooh.
Tim, you got to take this thing out for a spin.
See, I don't know about. I want the Disney Princess one first.
Gross.
And
Is
then
there a
we'll go to
Disney
this.
Princess one?
We can only hope.
Oh, one could only hope. If there is a Disney Princess blow-up doll, please send it to @Tim Gettys on Twitter. That's how Twitter works, right?
Sounds like a pedophile's dream come true.
There you go. You
How
start
do we-
inflating this. That's
How do
your
we
job.
hang this thing from the ceiling?
No.
Oh, they could go out front so people don't have to look at your
Oh,
guys'
the thing's
pasty white
doing-
legs.
It's hot in here, goddammit. We couldn't all be shadowboxing experts. T-shirt event. It's real. It's still real to me. You can get that T-shirt over at districtlines.com/GameOverGreggy. While we inflate these, I'll start the topics with my topic. Yesterday, I saw a lady almost get run over, and I didn't stop it.
That makes you evil, I think.
Now, here's... So, what happened is she rode up on her bicycle, and she rolled up on her bicycle into an empty parking spot at the back of it, and then started...
This is so gross. I'm sorry.
Started fooling around with her bike and everything about getting it over the sidewalk. Then a truck came in and started to parallel park in there to pull it into the hole there, the old parking spot. Now this happens, and her back is to the action, and the truck is backing in, and he's got like an obscured view. And like, you know, you're in these situations, you think yourself, I always think of Greg Miller as the hero, right? Like the superhero. But literally I'm sitting there with my coffee and my bagel, and I'm just like,
He just wanted to see something good.
no. I was watching it happen, and I'm like, I'm not gonna yell out. She's gonna notice any second. He's getting kind of close, but she's gonna notice here in a second. Any second.
Does this story end with her getting
No,
killed?
she turned around at the last second. I was like, ah! The truck stopped and got out and apologized.
So she saw two things before she died. The truck that killed her, and some creepy dude drinking his coffee, watching the entire
I was too
thing
hot
happen.
to drink. I was just holding it.
Blowing
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
on it.
her
worse.
coffee.
Sounds like the last episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah. There we go. So there's one of our Billy Goats.
This is horrible.
Put Billy. It's the real deal.
It's an actual sex toy of some
That
kind.
looks dilapidated.
Well, it's not. It's an older Billy Goat. It's also,
Why are they so small? Is that how big a real Billy goat is?
No.
Goats are huge, right? Like
what do you want him to do? It's not for like. It's not for.
It's not fulfilling your fetish for the Billy Goat.
I'm just trying to figure out physically like how one would go about that. I guess you have to put it on its back.
smells.
Yeah, it has that nice little.
Yeah.
It smells like pool, like my pool.
Right,
Don't smell.
right,
Don't
right,
smell
right.
the goat. Don't smell the goat. Billy. I'm calling you Tango from now on, and that one's Cash.
That's nice. I like that. What are you gonna do with it?
Colin, is it okay?
I'm
if it
creeped
just
out by what are you
just
gonna do
looks
with
at you
this
like this the rest of the time?
Yeah, it's hot.
Okay, good.
This reminds me of my childhood.
Right, like the pool equipment you buy.
Not the.
Look at Portillo.
Not with the goat with the hole in his
smell.
butt.
Portillo went
Smell.
straight for it.
Of course he did. Portillo's got to investigate all
Straight for
these
it.
crazy smells.
Portillo wants it. Portillo, go to town.
Get in there, buddy. This is what you wait for.
Someone actually made this thing and actually like got this produced.
Sells them on Amazon. It came from Amazon. So there you go.
You bought them?
My hand
No,
smells
some
like
a
plastic
fan
goat.
did. Some fan did. There was
no-
nothing
no
on the
name?
receipt. Nothing on the receipt indicating names.
That's it. Nothing.
No, just like here's your goats.
Well,
That's
if you
bizarre,
want
but I
credit for sending
appreciate
us
it.
stuff, guys, please leave a little gift card with it so that we can return it to the nearest porn shop.
Report you to Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah.
Homeland Security. So, anyways, Tim, I almost see this girl get run over.
Yeah.
And then, first off, I'm not disappointed in myself because it worked out the way I thought it was going to work out.
Yeah.
I didn't want to overreact. You ever do that? Where you're like, and then
Yeah.
like the guy's like, I saw it. She's like, I saw it. But then even after the fact, I didn't think about it at all. Happened. This lady's almost run over, like slowly, painfully. Probably just broke a lot of bones and stuff. But I just went about my day. Got back to drinking my coffee. I wasn't scarred by it. And then today we were driving home on the road, as we do. And I forget what we saw, and it was similar. And
The guy that went through, he drove through the red light with his bike. Because apparently, if you're riding a bicycle in San Francisco, you don't have to adhere to the normal laws of traffic.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
You don't have to. No. Apparently, that the fact that you have zero protection from bodily harm means that you can just do whatever you want.
You're unbreakable. You're invincible.
It's a pet peeve of mine because I drive a lot in the city, and I've been told that I drive like an old man. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or not.
I think you drive like a normal person.
I think you drive good.
Sometimes I drive like an old man, and that I will stop at stop signs fully. Wait,
no California roll.
None of that California rolling stop.
Is that now? What came first though? Heads up: the California roll and sushi, or the California roll in a car?
Sushi.
I didn't
Probably
thought
sushi.
about that.
I would imagine.
And so then, who thought they were fucking the most clever person in the world when they started doing that? When they're like, "Yo,
I like that."
Okay, sorry.
Jeez, that's a good question. We should Google that.
I'm sure it's on Snopes.
I'll check it.
But every day in my neighborhood, I get to a stop sign, and it's a 4-way stop sign, and the 3 cars that are stopped there will do what they're supposed to do, and a bike will just go right, and they'll just go. They don't care. They won't stop. Because I've seen a bike go around a car before that stopped and just go through. And it's not, it doesn't piss me off that they do it. I actually admire that they do it. It's the look on their...
I admire you,
I admire
sir.
the freedom and like the just throwing caution to the wind and saying my life doesn't matter at this moment. I'm just going to live. Right, Tim?
Yeah. I'm sure that's exactly what they're thinking.
It's the look on their faces while they do it.
Yeah.
They couldn't give 10 shits whether or not you hit them. You are so out of beyond the realm of their thought process that they're carefree.
Yeah.
That's what I take offense to. One day I know what's going to happen. I'm going to see someone get creamed in front of me, and I'm going to have the same reaction Greg did, which was probably deserved it. Maybe I liked it a little bit.
No. I was thinking she was, it was going to work itself out. That she was going to figure it out. They did. They all figured it out. It all played out the way I wanted, but we were cutting it really close. I thought maybe it was my perspective on it. Maybe I was, line of sight was different from where I was because I was like 2 car lengths down.
Did it play out the way you wanted it, or was it just a test for the next time it happens?
I'll get you yet, bicycle girl who comes to the coffee
What would you
shop.
have done if she'd have gotten if it had caused her bodily harm? Would you have felt bad?
I would have felt
Greg's
really
the
bad.
type of person that would have created a backstory for her that makes her the bad guy.
Really?
So therefore,
I'm that psychotic.
I don't think Greg's that kind of person.
I just want you to be that kind of guy. I want you to be the guy that that was Patrick from Pee Wee stealing the bike.
Yeah.
And
I see.
You want him dead.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Fun fact: California roll was invented in 1960. The food item. No mention of it being related to the colloquial California roll, which is interesting. I thought California rolls would have been around a lot longer than the 60s.
No, because that was. You have to remember those sushi didn't get. Really, I guess it didn't really get inventive until it came here, and that was probably right around the time that sushi came to the States.
I like California rolls.
Yeah, I don't think there's such a thing as California roll in Japan. Like Japanese sushi is very traditional generally, and not now anymore. You can go there now and get pretty kind of crazy stuff, but we are the ones, the Western, especially California, we're the ones that kind of popularized the crazy, dragon lion roll, yeah.
49er rolls big in here.
From what I understand, I could be wrong about that.
They love the 49er
correct me if I'm
roll in
wrong.
Japan.
They love it. You know why?
Jim Harbaugh.
Big Joe Montana fans.
Oh, Jim.
They love Jim Harbaugh. They love gold mining.
They like the old old lettering of the 49ers.
Yeah.
Colin, did I play it right? She didn't get run over.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not really a responsibility to do those kinds of, to shout out or help or make her aware of something. It's the right thing to do probably, but we see things all the time. I mean, a couple months ago when I was walking to the train from work, there's a dude who shines shoes. You know that guy? Mm-hmm. He's like a black dude that sits on the corner and he has a little chair. And people, he's like kind of a fixture in the neighborhood.
Right.
Always talking to people and hanging out. And some guy was giving him a lot of grief for some reason. They were yelling at each other, and I got in the middle of them. I'm like, you should just walk away. It's not really worth fighting over. And then he started getting belligerent to me, and some other guy stepped in or whatever. And I'm like, I might have stopped a fight here, but I might have also gotten into a fight of my own by interjecting myself and trying to do the right thing. So I'm not saying that obviously saving a woman's life from a car is the same thing, but often there are unintended consequences by getting involved in certain things. So
what if she was really evil?
No, I'm not even. It's just
because you didn't save her, you saved an entire country.
It went the way I expected it to go, with her not getting run over.
Right.
But again, we were cutting it close. So now I'm wondering if I should have been more proactive. It worked out the way I played it in my head. Eventually, this is all going to work itself out.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Colin.
I was just gonna say, honestly, I probably would have said something. I mean, I often am vocal on the streets, as you know. As you know.
Can
You're
I
hot
tell-
in the streets,
Can I
too.
tell that story?
If you want to tell any story, you possibly want to.
So these people in the sunset as we were driving the other day.
These people.
It's just nice. They look like a nice couple.
A nice couple.
They're doing the thing where they're like, are
Doing
we
that
going to
thing.
walk? Or are we not going to walk? And I'm just driving down the road. And there's no crosswalk. They're jaywalking. They're breaking the law.
They're right in the middle of the road.
And
Middle
they're,
of the street.
They're sort of daring me to keep going with their eyes. Just like the bicyclists dare me to hit them when they go through the intersections. And they start going. And I'm like, no, you guys are this is against the law. I'm not going to slam on my brakes and have someone rear end me because you guys needed to get to the freaking
Sunset Super.
the sunsets. I was going to say the frozen yogurt.
No.
What's that place with the balls?
Oh.
Boba.
Yeah, there's a
The
million
boba
of those.
shop.
T-way.
Million of
T-way.
them.
A lot of T-ways.
A lot of T-way. Good stuff. So we go, and the guy gets pissed, of course. And I saw it all playing out. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna hit the guy. It's gonna be fine. He's gonna get pissed off. He's gonna say something, but I'm used to this stuff. I'm just gonna keep going.
I'm Nick Scarpino.
Colin is like, oh no, I will not let this go.
Well, the guy's like, thanks for letting us cross.
And Greg, I think. Was it you? I think you immediately started putting down your window,
Yeah.
not for yourself,
No.
but because you knew what was coming next.
Well, it was my knee-jerk reaction that I was going to yell back.
Okay.
But it's just because that's how long I've hung out with Colin now
Right.
that he's rubbed off on me to that extent.
And
but instead, Colin dropped his window and let him have it.
But I admired this about you guys because I'm not very confrontational when it comes to just random strangers. I'm like, let it go. Mostly because when I get confrontational with people, I escalate it too fast and then I have to back
And then
down.
they throw dog poop in your car.
like a wuss. Yeah. But Colin screams at these guys. And I loved your tone, by the way, because it wasn't anger.
Yeah, sarcasm.
It was sarcasm.
Pure sarcasm.
Really loud sarcasm.
He goes, "Hey, I'm sorry. Was there did anyone see a crosswalk there? I didn't see a crosswalk. Were you guys gonna paint the crosswalk onto the ground? Is that what you were doing? I can't remember exactly what you said.
didn't see you building your crosswalk.
I didn't see you building your crosswalk." And the guy's like, "What?" And Colin's like,
Again, we're
where's the
going
crosswalk?"
slowly around the corner while Colin's just badgering this couple the entire time.
And then, of course, I immediately find the perfect parking spot, and I'm like, I can't park here because in my world,
they're coming back.
these guys are coming back. They're going to vandalize my car. That's how my brain. That's how my brain works.
I just feel like, I'm the kind of guy that if when someone holds a door open for me, I say thank you. I hold the door open for someone. Please and thank you. Appreciate it, whatever. Like when you're having an interaction like a normal human being might. And when I don't get treated with respect, I always give a disrespect back. That's just the way I am.
It's just water.
It was just like you brought some kind of giant like you're gonna make the turtles here in a second with the thing of ooze.
Yeah, it's like the beginning of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles too.
Did you bring that here? Is that one of our things?
It's one of mine.
Okay.
I had it in my car. I have a morbid fear that people are just going to break into my car to steal whatever's in there.
Sure.
In the city, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
They
So
definitely
check
want
it
that Starbucks tin, for sure.
This is $7.99, my friend.
I'm sure it is.
This keeps coffee ice cold. Ice cold.
I'm sure it does.
Even hot coffee?
Ice
You
cold.
put it in there, it just immediately goes cold.
Wouldn't that be amazing? You're like, why do I keep using this one? No, but I feel. What do you do when you hold the door open for a woman and she just immediately walks in and doesn't even?
I always say, I'm like, you're welcome. I mean, that's like my thing. Everyone's been around me when
Yeah.
I've done that before. And like 1 out of 10 times, the person will like glare at me. Sometimes they'll say something, but usually not. Now, when I know I'm in New York, it's totally different, right? And I know, and I like this because when I was on the Long Island Railroad going home from the city, when I was home in January, I was on the train coming from Atlantic Terminal to Jamaica, and then I was going to get onto the next train. And some dude gets in front of me, and this attitude, my attitude's very New York, right? Like very much belligerent.
Baba Ganoush!
And I'm walking. There's an older dude coming at me from the other direction, and so I stop and I'm like, oh, you can go ahead. And he just walks in front of me. I'm like, oh, you're welcome. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. He turns around. He's like, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. And I just looked at him. I'm like, all right. And I like walked up the stairs. I'm like, I'm not used to
Someone
people
talking
having
back
the
to
same
back.
attitude that I have to them. But the thing is that I don't like when people are fucking rude. I was at an airport bar yesterday coming home from an event I was at. I can't talk about yet. And just a rude asshole like sitting next to me, like just being a dickhead to the bartender. I'm not even sure he realized it, He's like, hey, can you charge my phone? Yeah, can I get a drink? Can I get a menu? Yeah, all right. Yeah, can I have the mustard? And then he's like chewing with his mouth open and all this kind of stuff. No, like, please, no thank you, no like appreciation that you're like dealing with another person. I was like, what's fucking wrong with people? Like, a little respect goes a long way. You'll never find someone holding a door open for me and I don't say thank you to them. It's just not the way I was raised, you know? Mm-hmm. Someone's not going to hand something to me at a store and I'm not going to say thank you. Or can I please have something? Mm-hmm. Like, that kind of shit pisses me off. Like, it goes a long way.
So what would you do if you found out that your friend just let a poor woman get smushed against...
Again, it was playing out exactly...
we
were right at that point. We were right at the pivotal point where I was about to... If it was about to go further, I would have had to have said something. Yeah. But at what point am I supposed to say something?
It would have been too late.
She'd be fine.
When the bumper...
You know I'm loud. When I yell, they're all going to stop.
It's not going to stop...
The car?
No.
Slowly backing up?
Oh my God.
Not from the visualization I have of the situation. Your yell is going, 750 miles an hour. The car is going, 40, 50 miles an hour. Maybe not quite,
No, he's parallel parking.
Oh, so he's
backing
going 10,
up into
12
a spot.
miles an hour. So you'd have to be
right on top. You clearly don't drive.
So you have to be right on top of her for that to reach her before then her brain
10
has
or 15 miles an hour parallel parking.
Yeah. Oh,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
Oh, yeah. He's going right in there.
He's like fucking
He's
James
confident.
Bond.
He's confident.
It's just like e-brake.
The point is that the speed of sound and the voice and the synapses in your brain going off and all those kinds of things. The woman would have been dead. Would have been your fault. The thing is that you kind of just have you have to have that kind of instinctual thing, I guess, when you're on the street.
Yeah.
Talking to people or whatever. It's the same thing like when. I always think it's awkward, but I still do it when like someone I just randomly sneezes by me when I'm out, and I'm like, "Oh, bless you." Yeah. Most of the time, people don't say thank you, which I think is rude too. But then I'm like, "Well, we don't really know each other, and you didn't really solicit
my blood." Yeah, my blood.
And a lot of people get hung up on the fact they're not religious. This
I don't
isn't
really give a fuck about that.
No,
it's just a polite
Gesundheit.
thing.
It's Gesundheit. It's everything else in the.
Well, then do you say you're welcome after that?
Doesn't that just?
I feel like this never ends.
German?
God bless you. Oh, thank you.
Huh?
Yeah.
Doesn't that just mean bless you in German?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Cool story. I think you should have probably been a little more proactive on that one.
A little bit more.
Would you have though, Nick?
Yeah.
Really?
I do that stuff all the time.
Really?
I like to, but I don't do it. I do it in such a way where it's not going to embarrass me if I'm totally wrong.
See, that doesn't count.
Yep.
You either help or you don't help.
I just like this. Oh,
hot coffee over here. Trying to get everybody's attention.
And then when everyone stops and they're like, "Who just screamed out there?" I'll be like, "I don't know who did that." It's the weirdest.
Tom Bosley.
Tom Bosley,
Family Guy. Yeah, when Stewie sees Tom Bosley on the plane, he just screams his name. And then, like,
Did he look?
So that's what I would have done.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like you just gotta kind of play that out in your head because
I think I did the right thing. I did fine.
You played it out. You made the right call because if you just screamed something, that could have caused a whole other mess of problems, and that would have.
The guy reverses really quickly.
Yeah, like,
he gets so surprised.
He's already going 15 miles an hour.
Yeah,
it's hard to parallel park any quicker.
It's like a Jackie Chan movie for some reason. You know what I mean? Like the car is just like flipping over, and then eventually like steamrolls onto the woman, but like misses him like
Rush Hour.
Yeah.
Oh, Rush Hour was
Rush Hour. I was a big fan of Rush Hour.
Oh yeah,
it's good.
Still a big fan of Rush Hour.
And the second one, when the third one came out, I just had moved here and I went and saw it. And everyone was like, I went with Mike Pereira.
Yeah.
MP.
Database Mike.
And a couple other people. And everyone was like, why you insist on seeing Rush Hour 3 in a movie theater? And I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah. I still haven't seen 3.
It's not very good.
I'm sure I'll enjoy it.
I love Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan together.
Yeah.
It's like the way they, the way... The incredible subtle racism in those movies is like unbelievable that they get it like that, like in both directions. I think it's like totally funny. Like I don't know. I thought the original Rush Hour was a unique take on the buddy cop movie. Mm-hmm.
I think I've said this before on the show, but one of my favorite things about the internet is whenever Rush Hour 2 is on TV, and that's Ricky Tan. That's a midget and a whatever the fuck. I don't even. It's a towel or some shit. That quote will just be everywhere on the internet, on Twitter and Reddit, and if it's on TBS, if it's on any TV station, like the moment that quote is said, the internet just like explodes. It's awesome.
All right.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So I made the right choice by not letting that woman die. I wasn't heroic, but I also played it out.
You let her.
I made the right call.
You didn't do anything.
It played out the way I thought it was going to, but we were close.
The only thing you actually did in that situation was cool your coffee down by about 1 degree. That's all you accomplished.
Yeah.
With your willpower.
But I came up with a topic for the show too.
You did.
What would you do? Maybe what if that would have been a John Quinones joint? He came over. He's like, "Oh,
I'm John Quinones.
I saw you watch this woman almost get run over. Why didn't you say anything?" And I was like, "Oh, I thought we were pretty close."
It's like when you're on the Muni. I've done this a few times. When you're on the Muni and like San Francisco's full of fucking bums that just do whatever they want. So sometimes they're on the Muni and then they get off and there's like dirt and water and
piss.
grease and whatever all over a seat.
Yeah.
But people don't really look where they're sitting.
Yeah.
So they just sit. And you're like next to them. Many times I'm
Yeah.
yeah, always get a lot of appreciation for that. You almost sat in some
piss.
hate gutter kids fucking crack piss sitting on the seat there on the end Judah.
Yeah, that's true. I do that a lot too. That makes sense.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I feel Ryan Clements has rubbed off on me a little bit. Ryan Clements is so crazy on the train; he wouldn't even sit down, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
But like,
Well, now
he's
there's bed
kind
bugs
of
on Bart.
he's kind of there's bed bugs everywhere. They came back, which is they thought they were eradicated for a long time. The Bart's a different story because Bart, for some fucking reason, has cloth seats.
Hey,
I don't know, like,
let's make a mass transit system in this city that's always temperate, and I'm sure no bums or anybody disgusting will get on. No drunks will ever ride on this and puke on it. Let's just make everything fabric.
It's weird. At least Muni's like you imagine
Gets hosed down every 6 months.
when the union workers that work at the Muni get off of their 8-hour coffee breaks and work for 20 minutes a day, that they spray the seats down with Windex or something and just clean them off.
They're plastic,
But that's
Muni's
probably
one of the only bus systems I've ever been on that has plastic. Most have this stupid fabric.
Gross. So
Like
gross.
Samtran and all that stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, what are you guys doing?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, Boston has plastic seats. New York has plastic seats.
No, good for them.
New York, Long Island Railroad has
Georgia Railroad Martin
has cloth seats, but they're Georgia Railroad Martin exactly has cloth seats, but they're not like the porous cloth like on Bart. They're the kind of the leathery stuff, so you can still wipe them down. It's kind of the same thing.
Okay.
The trains are all new too. That's how we roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I made the right call.
Sure. That's what you can take away. Go fuck the goat on the ground.
Colin, what's your topic?
So I've been thinking about something lately.
Go fuck the goat on the ground.
Been thinking about two things. I've been thinking a lot about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Sure.
We often do.
Out from the shadows or whatever the hell, out of the shadows, whatever the hell that game's called.
Coming
Just
out of
came
our shells?
came to PlayStation 3 lately.
You remember that tour?
Oh yeah.
And so I was thinking about them, and I was thinking about Leonardo and his katanas, and I was thinking about Michelangelo and his nunchucks, and Donatello and his bow staff, and Raphael and his sais.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about the Hunger Games, because I've been
Yes.
reading the Hunger Games, and even though those books get progressively worse, what I really like about, because I'm reading the third one now, which is worse than the second one, which was worse than the first one. The second Hunger Games book, total cop out, by the way.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fucking.
You talked about this
infuriates me.
before
Oh,
on
I
the
hate
show,
it.
and people wanted you to go back and read it, but you're still on board that it's just garbage?
Yeah, I reread the second book.
Okay.
And I'm reading the third one, Mockingjay, now. I love the first one. The first book's great. Anyway, I was thinking about in this woman, the writer's seems to be very in touch with video games, right? And or nerd culture, comics, movies, and stuff, where all these people have weapons and they're proficient with weapons, and there's a guy that's proficient with a trident. Katniss uses a bow and arrow, and et cetera and so on. PETA is strong and can throw things.
He
by the way,
can also paint himself.
It's the worst name of any character. The
Peter!
names
Peter!
in that book are terrible.
Yeah, they are.
Tell them
terrible.
how much flour you can lift.
Yeah, it's
Fucking goddamn garbage.
So it is. It's terrible.
So she was like this kid's a baker. I'll name him after a
Oh.
type of bread.
I'm sure she didn't think that.
Oh,
But
PETA.
What else could she have thought?
no,
know
I
it's
never
some
thought of that.
I thght it was in their weird ass alien universe that Peter
It's
is
not
said
though,
that
because
way.
she was named
PETA.
after a flower, which is the Katniss,
PETA.
which is another horrible name to name your character, Katniss.
Not many Katnisses are famous though.
No Katnisses are famous.
There you go.
There's
There you
the
go.
reason behind it.
Someone will be named Katniss soon, if not already, though.
A shit ton.
So anyway, I was thinking about weapons
Right.
and weapon proficiency.
Yes.
And I wonder that if you had to become one of these characters in any of these fictional universes that are really good with a weapon, what would that weapon be? And so if you would you want to be good with some sort of sword, some sort of projectile, a gun like Punisher?
Am I in the Hunger Games? Is that what's happening?
No, you're any. You mean any universe you want. Okay. I was just thinking about these particular IP with people that are good with specific, distinct weapons that make kind of who they are. And half of Leonardo's two things: blue and katana.
Yeah.
That's his shit. So I'm just wondering what you guys would want to be proficient
Anything.
with. Any weapon.
I'm gonna
Shadowboxing.
I'm gonna go lightsaber.
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 Because how cool is that? Someone's like this. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And then you pull out the lightsaber, and someone's like, "I'm not messing with this guy," because no matter what, it cuts through everything.
Yeah.
And chances are, if I got a lightsaber, I'm also a Jedi. So
Or
that
you could've
people
stolen it
shoot
off a
things
Jedi.
at me.
Yeah, I was gonna
Well, then
say.
I'm
Grievous.
Then I'm bad and ass enough to kill a Jedi.
You're just some idiot with all
No
these
one
like
wants to mess
scars
with
and
me.
burns because you're spinning lightsabers and whacking
It's me
yourself in the
my
arms.
front yard, just
Yeah.
like shadow lightsabering.
You're just gonna have this like weird bald spot here where you shaved off everything.
just half a head. Makes me smarter.
Yeah.
And faster. No, I don't know. That's a tough question actually. Lightsaber was kind of a joke. That doesn't actually exist.
What about a
in the
real
world.
weapon? Let's stick it to real
Let's
weapons.
stick with real weapons.
My answer before you said that was going to be Green Lantern's power ring, the most powerful weapon in the universe. But now I'll pick a real one for you.
Is it the most powerful
So-
weapon in the
That's what
universe?
they say.
It's
Because
the worst.
here's what it's the worst. Then I'm with Colin
It's
on
the
this one.
worst weapon in the universe.
Because so I'm watching the Green Lantern the animated
Sure.
series, right? Which is apparently by all accounts pretty good. Every single time anyone shoots anything at a Green Lantern, the first thing they do is put up a shield.
Yeah.
The second thing that happens is 2 seconds later, the thing that that got shot at them breaks through the shield.
Right.
So it's not the strongest thing. Otherwise, nothing could break through it.
Well, you're of course talking about a cartoon, and like that's your problem right there, right? Because they have to have action happening. But like, if it's all based on your will and your
Sure.
focus,
Sure.
I'd be really fucking focused.
You are
Nobody's gonna. I mean, like,
you are the equivalent to a daycare center when it comes to focus.
but think about that right there. If I was fighting you, right, like I would just will all this crazy shit, everything that I see in my mind on a daily basis, all the rabbits,
It would just be
and pumpkins,
nothing but teddy
they would
bears
just
flying
fucking
from the
fill
sky.
this room, and you'd be over.
Fake goats just going
I've never
around.
thought about the fake goat till now.
You are now.
He is prime too.
There's 2 of them.
Well, there's one's not even inflated. I don't count that one.
It's terrible.
Okay. All right. So now I need to pick a real weapon. Colin, do you have one? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I would go with a katana. I mean, like I loved Leonardo when I was a kid, but I also loved like all of the kind of we've talked about it, late 80s anime, and a lot of the Japanese video game influence. And I was always really fascinated with Japanese culture and all those kinds of things. So I had like fake katanas when I was a kid. I used to just run through the woods and like smash shit and with them and stuff like that. And then I got really into Ninja Gaiden on NES. Ryu Hayabusa. And I always like the idea of having like the katana and then like a shorter sword or a knife that you can like use
Right,
to
right.
defend yourself.
What was that
and
one
stuff.
called? Because they came in a set.
Yeah, it has a name, like a really Japanese name.
When I was a kid, I always wanted the 3 set: the katana, the small one, and the dagger.
Isn't one of them
Or the dirk.
only used to kill yourself?
Yeah. Well, I figured if I'm going in, I'm going all the way
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
If I disgrace my family's
Just in
honor,
case.
I'm gonna take out my innards.
So yeah, I don't want a katana. Not like Leo, he has 2. I would want one. I'd still keep
Like
it on
Hero
You
in
want
Heroes.
like a cloud strife, just a giant sword.
No, that's the Buster Sword. I
Yes.
wouldn't want that. I want a really thin, like with that Muramasa or whatever, the really thin kind of semi-curved.
Sephiroth.
Not that long. They're not comically long like Sephiroth's, where you can't put it anywhere, so you have to just carry it around all the time. So that's what I would want. Maybe maybe some supplemental like ninja stars or something like that. My brother had my brother had ninja stars when we were young.
Yeah.
He bought them in New York City and brought them home. My dad's like, "Where'd you?" I was like 6 or 7. We used to go into the backyard and throw them against
awesome.
like they were totally real. Like we used to go and throw them against the fence. And when we moved out of that house in the late 90s, I remember going back there and like just walking around like looking at stuff, and you can see the fence like we're all like it was just like pumped like all these holes everywhere from like hundreds of ninja star throws. I have no idea what, like, totally illegal to
Was it like a sad part of the Cosby Show where there's like a sad song playing and you're like walking around like feeling the fence post?
I
and
was
just imagining
I was devastated when we moved from that
Me
house.
too. Yeah, when we left my house, I remember I walked around.
I went into the attic and with my sister, and we on one of the beams I like wrote my name in like huge letters, but like kind of behind something. Maybe no one's ever seen it since
Yeah.
there was. I kind of like that it's just there, like in people's lot, like it's just in someone's space.
Someone's gonna find that someday, and
That's who's
it's
haunting
really
this
gonna-
house.
It's really gonna freak them out.
It
'Cause
says
knowing
Colin.
you-
It says Colin, or it says Moriarty, like the Moriartys or something, 1985. To
Oh, so you didn't do like something
Oh.
really creepy, like Colin is
Watching
here.
you.
You know what I
Colin's
mean?
in this house somewhere.
Colin's right behind you.
My dream is to always buy that house back from.
Don't roll your eyes at me, Miller.
Miller.
You roll your damn eyes
Colin
at me.
is here.
So yeah, so katana.
Okay.
Maybe have some ninja stars in a little pouch.
What if you had to do a supernatural, like some sort of a weapon that doesn't exist?
I feel like lightsaber is just the best answer.
Is
Because because then it solves the problem of like, oh, where are you gonna put it? It's a little tiny thing. You can put it wherever you want.
Yeah,
Green
I,
Lantern
when you
smaller.
need
I like the idea of a lightsaber, but it's Star Wars, and I don't want to be super attached to that universe.
Yeah. If you had to pick something though, that wasn't practical, not a real weapon, any imaginary weapon. Ooh, I take it back.
I want a nunchuck with 2 shotguns on the end.
I would go Harry Potter
Spin it
wand.
and the shotgun shoot out.
Wand.
I would like to be like kind of a more passive person in a fictional universe, be like Dr. Wily or the Cylons in Battlestar Galactica,
You
where
would
I'm
want to be a
building
Cylon?
where I'm building my own
Robots. You
weapons
want robots.
that I
You
wouldn't
wanna
worry
be
about. Like the
Krang.
Centurions in Battlestar, which were the old Cylons before the conflict with the humans 40 years before the show began. Those are some pretty OG robots. They
Those
will
things are
fucking
bad.
destroy you. Yeah, they're so good, dude.
These are terrifying.
That opening scene in the Battlestar miniseries before the series, you've seen
Oh yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
When they walk onto the space station, oh my god, and
That was so
and number
cool. Have you
6 is
seen
there.
it?
Battlestar now.
Oh god, that's such a good scene.
It's so good. I love
so
that
good for
show.
so many reasons. So they have this great. They have this. The way they built it out, the way they set up Battlestar. I'm not spoiling anything. This is the very first. Actually, it's not even the first episode. It's the
miniseries.
Miniseries that they did. It starts every year. They meet, like, the humans send an ambassador out to this far space outpost, and they wait. And every year for the last like 40 or 50 years, no one's ever showed up. And they're waiting for the Cylons that they had a war with 50 years ago to show up in case they wanted to talk or anything like that.
Yo, bro, what's up?
And it never happens.
We've been doing some
except for
Cylon
this
shit.
one time when, so finally, they're there, and someone shows up, and it's Trisha Helfner, who plays one of the types of Cylons that
Number
there is.
6.
She's number 6.
Number 6.
Smoking hot. If you've never seen Trisha Helfner, Google it. You're welcome. She comes in. She delivers like 2 lines, and then I think she starts like making out with the guy.
Awesome.
Which is like, the guy's like, this is, and he's totally taken aback and he doesn't understand what's happening. And then it fades out to the outside of the ship, and the Cylon ship that's there launches missiles and destroys everything, including Trisha Helfner. So the whole thing, you just see missiles come, because why not?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, that's all part of the story.
Yeah, well, it's all part of the story, but that was the most powerful thing, is that it killed everything, thus meaning that their lives mean nothing.
Yeah.
Like, that's how
How
strong of
hardcore
an
these
adversary
Cylons are.
they are. Yeah,
Zero
which
fucks
is really
given.
cool.
Oh, it's so good.
God, it was so
It's
good. I know.
I want. They did Caprica. They're gonna do another. They're gonna
out.
do a
I'm
movie.
done.
They're
I'm
doing.
done with it,
They're
Colin.
doing a movie too, but like. The idea behind that series, and I'm not talking about the late 1970s, early 1980s Battlestar Galactica, which is fucking terrible. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the idea behind the new Battlestar Galactica, which takes like a very old science fiction trope, which is like robots turning on the people that made them. It's like Terminator. But doing it in a very clever way. Like, I tried to get Greg to watch it, and he didn't really
click for me.
It didn't click for him.
You
It's
know how
hard.
I am,
My
science
wife didn't
fiction.
like it either.
But like,
How long is this? How long is this?
It's 4 seasons.
It's long.
It's because it's about like, because the important context about that scene, which I love, is that the humans created robots that turned on them. They felt enslaved, and they fought this war, and then they disappeared. They just like signed an armistice and went. And the place is called the Armistice Station, where they go. And they're supposed to meet every year just to make sure everything's cool. But the Cylons do never show up for 50 years. Like, no one's ever seen the Cylons. But the Cylons have been plotting. I mean, that's like the whole missing thing, is the Cylons have been slowly plotting.
Yeah, that's why it's like,
To like come back and destroy everything. So when they come back and they destroy the space station, at the same time they're attacking the colonies, like all the planets that the humans are on, and destroy all of them with nuclear bombs. And the only people that are alive are the people that are in space. So like there's like 50,000 people in space in transit between the planets, and they just happen to be like alive. And so this show is about the Cylons following them and trying to kill them. Right. And I think that's like,
and it's great.
Oh,
there's
it's
one
so
space. There's one carrier, it's like space carrier, basically called the Battlestar, that was being decommissioned, so it was in space, but that like doesn't have any ammo, doesn't have any supplies for people.
It's not
it has a
networked
skeleton
either.
crew, and the only reason why it is allowed, like it actually survives, is because they upload a computer virus that
The
basically
Galactica.
the Galactica.
Battlestar is a type
It's a
of ship.
Battlestar, like a destroyer. And Galactica is the name of it. They call it Galactica,
Yes.
not the Galactica. It's just called Galactica. But the cool thing is, the reason why this ship survived is because in the original war, the Cylons were able to infiltrate the computer systems of all the ships, so they had to go back to the analog age. And so everything is like printouts and like actually has to be corded and things like that, because they can't have any complex network systems. Otherwise, the Cylon could infiltrate them and do what they do in the beginning of the show, which is shut down the defense mechanism. They basically shut down the ships and then just come out. So as their fighters are coming toward, they just start drifting out into space, and they just have to watch as the ships come and just destroy them, which is terrifying. And of course, then you've just got the Battlestar Galactica, which is like then the crew has to mobilize and try to save as many people as they can. But that's actually not the brilliance of the show. The brilliance of the show is the politics that happens when they finally form the colony, when they find a bunch of other ships. And they have to elect a government because they've got 50,000 people that have to be governed. Some of them are prisoners. That's an awesome episode, a story arc, right? And it's like, what do we do in space? Are these people still prisoners? There's no Earth. There's no like colonies left. Like, yeah, it's really, really cool. And then there was a couple of seasons where there's at least one half a season there where it's just complete filler.
Yeah,
which was totally shit. When like Jamie's fat.
Yeah, we won't. I want to. You really should watch it. It's all on Netflix. But eventually, like a lot of like it becomes political and then religious, which I think is really
religious
cool.
undertones are
and
cool.
Like the Cylons have a religion, and the Cylons are robots, so they're not even they're sentient, but like they're not even like they're sentient, and like they're monotheistic, and the humans are polytheistic, and like it's all about. And then the humans have this mythology about a 13th planet called Earth, and which is this place or whatever, obviously, and like they're trying to find it. Like so, it's like it becomes like all of this like it's just so good, and like so you learn about why the Cylons don't care about themselves, and you know they basically can live again, and like all this kind like it's cool. It's kind of Skynet-ish in a way where they become self-aware during the first war, and then they actually start creating themselves, and then they're smart enough to create better versions of themselves, and that's like when the war happened. So it's like kind of it takes like again like those old Isaac Asimov like sci-fi tropes, and like really cool. Really like does cool shit with them. That show is excellent.
Just hang in there if you're gonna watch the show.
And I think it starts awesome too. Like
it does. It dips fast though, because they basically get their asses handed to them for the first like 2 episodes, and then it's about survival, which I thought was one of the coolest parts of the stories. But it gets a little slow, and it is a little hard to watch. They didn't have a lot of budget, so there's like only 3 hallways in Galactica.
Yeah, it is a sci-fi show. Sci-fi channel. It's
a sci-fi channel show, and they don't have a lot of They reuse shots a lot, so if you marathon it, you're gonna see the same shot of the ships like going sideways in space and like blowing away the Cylon ship. But it's really, really cool.
Yeah, that was a total tangent. Sorry.
It's fine.
Sorry about that. Battlestar.
Great weapon you want to use.
One of my favorite shows.
I just blanked out. What are we doing? No, I'm fine.
It's shocking that you don't like that show.
You know me, I don't like space all that much. I got a problem with it.
What's wrong with space?
Superman flies
through
space.
Yeah, and it's boring. I don't like it when he's Kryptonian. I don't like it when he's American.
See, again, that's not to do a callback to Invincible, but there's a great quote in there, because that's one of the things.
Doubt, throw him in space.
Well, there's that, but then remember, like he goes, I think he flies past the guy that's dead that he threw in space, and he's like, "What would we do without space? What would superheroes do without space?" Because that's like always, yeah. He's always throwing him out. It's great.
Brian Altano was giving me shit today because he said, "Oh, did you watch that Fargo last night, the TV show?" And I said, "No, man, I just don't have enough time. I don't watch much TV. You know what I mean? Keep it to Walking Dead, some AMC stuff, Game of Thrones, or whatever." And then like 15 minutes later, we were talking to somebody else, and I was like, "Oh yeah, last night I watched on Netflix this Triple H documentary." He's like, "You got time to watch these WWE documentaries? You got it."
But in your defense, though, well, Fargo, I guess, is a miniseries. I don't think it's an actual show.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
But it's also going to be like 10 episodes. It's just too much. It looks like a great cast.
I saw the movie. I'm fine.
Also, by the way, also to your credit, those WWE documentaries, a few of them are really good. I don't even like wrestling, but I enjoyed like top 50 wrestlers and all that stuff. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's more fascinating to see like people like when they break character and how they, what their career's been and stupid setbacks and stuff like that. The weapons I want to use are Nightwings. I had to look them up because I can never pronounce them, and I probably still can't. The Escrima sticks. You ever seen these? I know.
The cop sticks.
Yeah, like he's got basically just 2 sticks in his hands that like you use in martial arts.
They're nightsticks. They're like cop nightsticks.
Escrima refers to the class of Filipino martial arts that emphasize stick and sword fighting. The term and the art most probably originates from the Spanish word esgrima, which is the term for fencing. So there you go. I know. He's got like something. He can throw them occasionally, and they have like a line that comes out of him and stuff. Cool. But it seems cool. You see him in Arrow too. They're always doing like with them.
That cool. Emmy award-winning television program.
Emmy award-winning Arrow on the C-Dubs. You cannot transition from your Battlestar Galactica 2 hallway show and then
Battlestar is so much better than Arrow.
I'm not saying one. I'm not even arguing. Clearly, Battlestar is onto something. I think so is Arrow. I'm just saying, don't be like all of a sudden hating.
They don't have a Cylon in a hood, and they pretend that they don't know it's a Cylon. When it's clearly this, it's just Arrow. This guy's walking around in a hood, and so everyone's like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. Because he's like this, and he's like, I'm talking like
Yeah, I didn't quite understand. So I watched the first couple episodes of Arrow.
Here we go.
And there's a specific part where his mom gives him a bodyguard.
Yeah.
And
She doesn't know he's Arrow.
right, the bodyguard kind of doesn't know either, but kind of does.
Yeah.
And then
He puts it together in like 2 episodes.
in order to get away
Spoilers.
from the bodyguard, Arrow just hands him his ass. In that, remember when it's like it's a party?
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't think of any way to get around this guy, so look, and then just lays him out. And then the next day, the next episode,
Yeah.
they act like it never happened.
Right. I
stopped watching it.
When
at that
you
point.
guys, you and I wouldn't understand this because we're not on their testosterone level.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are John Diggle, you've seen some shit in Iraq,
Yeah.
and you've come back now to be a bodyguard, and then on the other side of the fence you got Oliver Queen,
Yeah.
stranded on a desert island,
Yeah,
now
hardcore.
back ready to fuck shit up.
Deathstroke.
Deathstroke's, yeah, he's a part of this, but he's not in this. I'm saying
I just
right
wanted
now,
to say
one
that.
on one. You get these guys one on one. You hit one of them hits the other person. They respect that.
Oh, it's like
like
prison yard rules.
It's like how you and I trade verbal barbs to show how much we like each other.
we do.
Scumbag.
We do. I
When he called you a
appreciate
scumbag.
You scumbag.
that. Is not how
We
it
talked about
works,
that at the
Greg.
PAX show. I know.
It is not how it works.
You want to be upgraded douchebag.
I don't want to be upgraded to douchebag. I'll stay scumbag if I have to.
Better to be a douchebag.
Scumbag to me is
Scumbag.
actually-
Scumbag is so derogatory.
But he's our
Douchebag
scumbag.
just
We love you, Nick. You're great. You got a beard.
the worst. It's the worst. I don't want either. I don't
Tim,
want
did
either.
you say what weapon you're using?
No. I would like Scythe, but I feel like that's being held down by death. And
Sure.
I wouldn't want to be another.
You don't
guy
want to start
Scythe.
shit with death?
Yeah, I don't want to start shit with death.
What
Also,
is this?
That's
Wait, stop.
disrespectful.
The Grim Reaper, you
Scythe.
know, the scythe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
also being held down by old school corn and wheat farmers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Big props
But
to
fuck
them.
them. No,
Also, a little
no
hard.
props to
A
them.
little
No
hard to
props
run
to corn and wheat farmers.
They're-
Old school.
They're fucking with death. You don't want to fuck with death because death is seriously like he got that down. He knows what he's doing. He looks super cool.
He's cool.
They're
Looking.
just trying to
Yeah.
tend to their crops.
So it's like, I can't
the
do
crops
that.
are life. It's kind of, the antithesis of death.
Yeah. And growing up, I was always the Leonardo of my group.
Sure.
Big fan of blue. Big fan of the katana.
Yeah, me too.
Like that's. I think to me
was-
that's the easy answer to go to. But I'm gonna go with the bow. Stop.
Oh,
Simply because then you can just fucking beat the shit out of people with a stick.
right.
You don't need to have a sword around. You just pick up a damn stick and fuck motherfuckers.
But I
up.
always felt like the bow staff was kind of a weird weapon because
It's
with
super weird.
Donatello uses it and like that's cool, but I felt like Donatello used a kind of a weak weapon because he was the brains of the operation, and I always assumed that he would be the least likely to actually go into battle with just him and some
No, see,
plan
I
or
think
whatever.
the weaker weapon were the size. Raph's weapons.
The size of defense, size of defensive.
You can
though.
put him in his little turtle
Yeah,
hands
you
and
get
punch
it in
him.
and get it down.
He's got no range on that.
You got
Sure.
you don't got the range, but you get in there with the
They're
power.
like Wolverine claws.
Raphael wins.
Also,
almost
here's the
always.
reason why the bow was the coolest of all the Ninja Turtle weapons.
Lay it on me.
Actually,
Pole
the
vault.
nunchuck was the coolest. The bow was
Yeah.
second coolest. When they were back in the 80s, you couldn't show things like getting murdered.
Violence, yeah.
So you had to show every time Raph had to do something, he had to like Leonardo couldn't actually just cut through people. You know, he had to cut the water tower, and the water tower had to fall on things, right? But Donatello could just wrap people with that damn bow. Same with Michelangelo, where he could just use the nunchucks the way God had intended, which was against nunchuck to skull.
Yeah.
Right. So it really all depends on the world.
Is the new Turtle movie going to be violent, like bloody and stuff?
I hope
No.
so.
No, I mean we've already seen in the trailers like some people getting tossed,
Getting worked.
and we're not going to see blood.
Is Casey Jones in it?
No,
I hope
we'll
Casey
probably
Jones
get some
in.
hints towards him, but I don't
He's so
think
cool. He's still the best. He's still one of the great fictional characters.
You
of all
liked him
time.
just
I
because
love
he
him.
used hockey gear.
No, I loved him because he's like it's this. See, we've talked about this before. It's the same essence is why I like Batman. He's a fucking normal person.
Yeah.
You know, who just took shit out of his garage, and he's just. And in the 1989 movie, he's just the best.
Yeah.
But it's so funny to hear you guys say you liked the bow staff or Donatello or Michelangelo and his nunchucks when I was a kid because I was so partial to blue too, and I thought katanas were so cool. Leonardo was so obviously the best turtle to me that I couldn't even fathom that anyone felt any different.
Well, I mean, I'm right there with you. I'm only not going katana because you went katana, but I'm just trying to think of
I
something
don't think
different.
anyone felt any different from you.
No, there's a lot
I'm
of
sure there are people
people
that I love Donatello because he's smart or the only
He did machines, man.
The only
Just
thing
we're going to do that goat.
I got to give it up though. Leonardo kind of sucked in the TMNT movie in 1989, which is the seminal Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
leader.
Raphael was awesome in that. Raphael.
He was a little emotional bitch.
He was awesome. That's what he was apparently in the graphic novels, right? Or no, that was supposed to be. Wasn't it in the graphic novels in the 80s? Leonardo was captured by the Foot Clan. and then they had to go save him, and then they switched it in the movie for some reason.
Yeah. It was Leo.
I don't know. Anyway, I loved that. Like that they gave that character a personality where I was like, oh, I like Raphael too. So he's my number 2.
Raph was your number 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can give that. I can get into that.
Michelangelo's my least favorite.
Who said the line Splinter?
Leo.
Is that Leo?
Yeah.
It's good.
That's real good.
Right? Yeah. Because he was the one that was like in love with fucking Splinter. You know, like because he was the lead. Well, he was the leader, and
he was like the second. Like that was his sensei.
Yeah, he took it seriously, like the training seriously. Yeah. The other guys didn't.
Yeah, I remember watching the movie though and thinking, why does Raph all of a sudden have like a really hardcore New York accent? Because I don't remember him having that hardcore of an accent. I don't think he had an accent in the cartoon.
No,
cartoons are cartoons.
The cartoon fucking sucks. I'm sorry, everybody.
I would
but it
throw this
really
phone at
fucking
you
sucks.
if it wasn't top of the
It's
line
horrible.
iPhone 5S.
In the same way that I've said the Transformers cartoon sucks. Those 80s cartoons suck. Period.
Shut your
Real
mouth.
Ghostbusters was good.
Shut your
Can't
mouth.
talk about that.
I liked Ghostbusters. That was
No, we're not the non-real one. We got a fucking monkey and this guy. They're gonna go bust.
So
Both
what a
Ninja
great
Turtles and Transformers, the 80s ones, are in bottom tier of the shows of their franchises.
Wow, harsh. You know what I always found interesting that I discovered just about the time Turtles came out, and I hated Turtles because I was smart enough to know that the dawn of Turtles meant the death of Ghostbusters. Like that was going to be the end of them.
Why does that matter?
Because I was a big Ghostbusters fan. I didn't want that to end.
No, but like, how did you put those together? You're like,
because like all my friends, all my friends started to go talking about Turtles rather than talking about Ghostbusters. So I could tell the change was in the wind. Yeah. But I was a big ThunderCats fan before I was the Ghostbusters fan. And then when if you compare the ThunderCats to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's a direct fucking ripoff.
Is it really?
One of them uses a sword, one of them uses nunchucks, the other uses the bow staff. Like it's like frame by frame the same thing, except they're cats instead of turtles.
Didn't
I think they
ThunderCats
lived in
come
like
before?
a fucking robot. I don't remember.
No, they had
No,
robots.
they came before. Yeah, ThunderCats came before.
They had like mechs that they
But
were
it
in.
might have been like the Ninja Turtle when they were in New Hampshire in comics. That might have come out somewhat
Before
concurrent to at least concurrent. To
Well, when Ninja Turtles first came about, it was total. I mean, it was a joke, and it was supposed to. It was making fun of. I don't remember the exact specifics of this, but it had a lot of influence from Daredevil and a lot of other things. And there was something else going on at the time that's like it is not a ripoff, but like it originally started as a. Not even an homage, just like kind of a parody version of something else.
Yeah.
And then it became its own thing.
Sure, a child's toy because the graphic novels were serious.
Yeah, they were.
Extremely
I will say this that all right. So you liked ThunderCats.
Mm-hmm.
You had a Sega Master System.
Yeah,
You thought Ghostbusters, which had one
Pretty much
great movie,
yeah,
and that was basically it. That was your favorite franchise,
right.
You had
I don't pick winners, Colin.
pretty bad taste when you were a
Oh,
kid.
yeah.
Like, pretty bad taste.
Well, I think
with all of the things that were going on when we were growing up, those
are what
things were
defined
what
me.
you latched onto.
Yeah.
Not G.I. Joe, not Nintendo, not Ninja Turtles.
Oh, Ninja Turtles, yes. I did get to Ninja Turtles. I got over that.
I'm so disappointed.
They were good. It was the movie trailer. I
We're like
remember
the
that turned me.
antithesis of each other.
Yeah, that's why we get along. We still are.
Yeah.
I'm light, you're dark.
Amazing. A fun Ninja Turtle story you mentioned coming out of your shell.
This was the musical tour,
yes.
of course, where they traveled around the country.
One of my favorite stories is Brennan Ayub won a contest.
Oh my God.
To go backstage and meet the Turtles,
Coming
and he
out
had
of
dinner
your
with
shell.
them. What did they eat?
Pizza.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
It wasn't
that.
the real turtles though.
What?
It was just like the East Coast turtles. That you remember? They always had tours.
Yeah,
Those-
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the.
Were they
Turtles
in
name.
Turtles outfits or?
I mean, who knows?
They were
Who
in the
knows if these
awesome
guys
coming
know?
out of the shells outfits.
I
I
wanna
remember
see
I
those.
had a journal, and I remember finding it when I was cleaning out my room to throw it out one day, and it was like, I was in high school or whatever, but it was from when we were like second grade, and I was like, Jonathan DePrado got to go to the coming out of their shells thing. He's the luckiest guy ever.
You threw out your journal?
Yeah,
sad. Why would you do that?
Because I did it all the time, where I start a journal for like 2 days and then stop. So it's just all these incomplete thoughts about Jonathan DePrado and the fucking Ninja Turtles coming out of their shell tour.
Oh man.
I love finding old shit that I didn't know I had anymore.
Yeah,
These things are terrifying looking.
they're coming out of your shells, Ninja
Yeah,
Turtles.
they were really
They,
scary.
they played music, man. They were awesome.
Yeah.
They were the coolest.
Did they actually play the music? No.
The Ninja Turtles comic going on right now from IDW is by far the best Turtles thing to ever exist.
Wow.
I highly recommend it to everybody. It takes all the best parts of every other continuity and just puts it together as one thing. Half of the original creators work on it. It's awesome.
What? So it's Eastman or is it the other guy, Laird? Is that right?
It's Eastman.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's so good. And like
Okay.
it gives you so much fan service. They start off all red. They give a reason for it. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's really cool.
Sure.
Eventually get their colors and it's like, cool. There you go.
All right.
A lot of fun.
All right, I'll check it out. Nick, what's your topic?
Well, first off, let me give a quick shout out to a near dear friend of mine, Mr. Jimmy Champagne.
Jimmy Champagne.
Champagne.
He's
Hey, Baba Ganoush, I'm in New York. I got a Spider-Man.
He invited.
So, Spider-Man, I'm going to spring all my things over here for you to web to. That fucking movie.
Are you
C.
done?
Thomas Howell's greatest work. Mr. Champagne invited me to do his podcast, and we've been going back and forth because I think I messed up the audio record on my side. So he's got like hours and hours and hours.
Of just dead silence.
Or just, no, it's like for some reason the tempo's going up and down and up and down, so he's got to like fix that as he goes.
Oh, wow, what a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. It's almost not worth it. Almost. But now you got a shout out on the GameOverGreggy show. What up, Champagne? My topic tonight.
It'd be helpful to shout off their name of the podcast you're going to be on.
It's the Jimmy and Eden podcast.
There you go.
It's really good. It's on NBC.
Bing, bong, bing.
It's not on NBC. Google it.
All right, fucking go.
So I wonder this sometimes because when I was a kid, I really. Someone asked me a topic, what do you want to be when you were a kid? We'll get into that later. My answer is Batman. I wanted to be Batman. That was the first thing I can remember thinking about being. As I get older, though, it strikes me that it might be a little weird and or terrifying if Batman were real.
Absolutely. That would not be cool.
So that's what I want to talk about. What if Batman were real? What if there was a man who was like 6'4"?
And I'm assuming we're living in a universe where there's no
other
So yeah,
superheroes.
so it's real
just
life
the
right now,
villains
and all of a
of
sudden
the-
there's a Batman
But-
fighting crime.
So my question is there a comic book Batman in this universe? Are there comic books in this universe?
It's this universe.
So right now, we
Right
already
now,
have all these Batman
there's a
comic
Batman.
books. Somebody says I'm Batman. Okay, I'm with you.
Wait. I want to verify this. Obviously, there are comic books in the universe. That's a weird question because there are comic books of other kind. Certainly,
in the Walking Dead universe, no one's ever heard of the zombie. They don't have that concept. That's why no one ever calls walkers zombies.
that makes that show even worse.
It's a property long outside of just the show, but okay.
So, but Batman doesn't exist in comic form.
I
in
haven't
this
thought
universe.
this far, but we can say yes, Batman doesn't exist
Okay.
in comics.
He's an original IP.
think
Okay.
this is right now. Some dude starts doing this.
Right, and
What's
there's
our reaction?
So you're changing it.
So you're saying
What's different about
we
this?
know that there's a Batman. Some guy just decides to be Batman today
Yeah.
because he's read the comic books and wants to be Batman.
Yeah.
Okay. He's a joke. Then. Nobody takes
I
him
was thinking
seriously.
more along terms of like the comic book, like superheroes don't exist. And we're living in a shitty city, like, well, you know, like we're living in San Francisco, and all of a sudden,
What's
to
he
fight
doing? He's
crime,
busting fucking Muni drivers sleeping on the job.
we start hearing about a guy who's running around dressed as a bat,
Yeah.
and he's cleaning up the city of the Tenderloin.
Okay.
It's terrifying though, right? Like I think as a normal human being, I'm like, I'm not gonna go in the Tenderloin
100%.
because there's a dude who, like, you're just walking, right, and you're smoking a cigarette, and then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, some dude comes from the sky and just takes you out.
There was a Hey Arnold episode about this.
Was there?
With Monkey Man. And it didn't end well for Monkey Man.
So at any point, do we think this
I
character?
just don't acknowledge.
I'm trying to stay on topic.
Sure.
At any point, do we acknowledge that this might be a cool thing, or is it just terrifying?
I think it's the same thing that happens in every Batman film, right? Where it would be we wouldn't believe people for the longest time.
Right.
Then it would be like you're worried. You're like being a coward about it. Why would you Why would he jump on somebody smoking a cigarette in the Tenderloin? He's looking for bad guys. It's every story that's coming up in the news about some guy getting dropped in front of the police commissioner's office is he's a bad guy. It's not like Batman's like fucking capturing normal people out of, on a date or something.
But also,
But then there's gonna be the big moment of there's a fire. There's that giant Mission Bay fire, right? And then he's gonna jump out like in his cape and have like a kid under his arm. Like, what? It's good. He's
that'd
awesome.
be a good moment.
Yeah.
And then he's just Bat-Kid from
But,
then on out.
but then he just lands on the ground in broad daylight, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
"What do we do now?"
So I think the thing there, in real life, there has been a bunch of these quote unquote superheroes.
Yeah.
They're like dudes that dress up and try to do good. But this is different. Like, the way you phrase this to me, it makes me think this guy's legit.
No, he's
This guy-
legit.
this
No,
guy's
this guy is
legit
like
as Batman
not
would be.
some
Christian
ass.
Bale Batman. Is, doing his thing.
So you're right. We don't hear about him. We don't really know how he looks or any of these things until some people see him. Some people see the
But see,
whole
now
thing.
you're starting to make it sound cool.
It is
No,
cool.
it's really cool, but it's also terrifying. Like, I think that is the most terrifying thing ever is that this guy's fighting crime. In the comic world, it's like, oh yeah, he's a good guy. We're rooting for him. But in real life, it's like, that's not up to you to decide if it's good or bad. Like, that's not your position, Mr. Batman. Like we have a law system and things like that.
Well, yeah,
It doesn't work.
Let's not take into account that if there were a bunch of people running around fighting crime,
I like the quotes.
none of that would actually hold up in court. At no point
Vigilantism.
Yeah.
it'd
Citizens
be
arrest.
vigilantism. Yeah, there's no. But how you gonna prove it?
I know you got to take.
Hey, I
the
found this
stand.
guy robbing a bank. Really? There's no footage of it. It's just your word versus his.
And that's the other thing. It's like Batman, he won't kill people, but he fucks them up.
He
Like,
messes
that's
jacks
not
people
nice.
up. It's
And
true.
like, if you just beat the shit out of someone leaving in front of a police department, that's scary as shit.
Yeah, that's messed up. It's messed up.
I have a big question that we haven't touched on. Because we're talking about he's going to the Tenderloin, which is a terrible part of San Francisco, by the way, in case you're curious why we're talking about it. And he goes and he fucks up people that are robbing cars or whatever they're doing, right? But do the supervillains exist?
I was
in
gonna
this
say,
universe?
I
I'm
knew it
waiting
was
for
coming.
When's the Bane coming? When are we
I'm
talking?
not even talking about Bane. Let's ignore Bane. He's the best. We know that already.
Sure.
But like, are there like criminal masterminds, i.e. the Riddler, Joker?
I want to say no, and I want to say that they
Because if not, then we don't need a guy like Batman.
It's up
What's
to
the
them
fucking
if they
point?
come or not.
What is the point?
No, see, this is always the Achilles heel or whatever. The
Anyone
the
can be
endless struggle here is that Batman's actions create these supervillains.
Yep.
So like right now, like we just had that citizen alderman, what was he, senator who got busted, Lee Lin Yi, right, for all the gun running and stuff. That's a Batman takedown, but instead of like it all coming to light slowly, like the DA would have gotten the files from Batman, he would have gone to do it, and somebody would have gotten kicked into a tub of acid and become
Wait,
this
so
horrible
you're
thing.
saying that? Okay,
So
so
Leland Yee is Two-Face? That's what happens here, or is he the Joker?
I was thinking more of the Joker.
Okay.
And it might not have been him; it might have just been one of his thugs.
Got it.
but when Batman was created in the 30s, 40s, right?
His 75th anniversary is this year.
Okay, so
30s.
yeah,
40s, no 40s.
I can't do
Math.
Yeah, no, the 40s. Okay, so when he was created in the 40s, the Joker was the first villain, right? And he was the product of something Batman did. Batman.
No, I mean, we're talking about these cartoons, like the early comics. No, these people are just popping up, and they're like, "Bah." But I mean, like most Joker like stories from there on out. I mean, like when you start talking and treating it like literature, right? Or you're actually telling a real story rather than just something to sell a 10-cent comic book. That's when you get into Batman's actions are almost always.
When did
tied.
they start?
1939.
39.
Yeah.
When did they get? That makes sense. That's math. When did that I can't do very well. I'm a writer.
We all got on the spot. We're just like, no, can't do that one
No,
for you.
try to use my head, but I can't do it. What specifically, is? I guess what I'm saying is like, when did they start telling these stories? Like it wasn't just Batman's, hitting the Joker and like all all that, like all that kind of stuff. But like, where they were like getting into like the minutia of Batman and who he was that post-war, I guess, and then like significantly
You're
post-war.
talking about the minutia of like his parents dying and stuff.
No, I mean just the minutia of like you're trying to tell real stories as opposed to the pulpy comic books.
Sure.
Of the pre-war era, like and they all were like that. I don't know much about comics, but I know that. And like, so when did they start getting into like the real lore, like where there was like huge threads and
arcs and stuff that
yeah,
matter?
and, like,
I mean, like it depends how you want to look.
Looking back at comics, to me, and I could be totally wrong about this because I don't really know the history that well, but like for Spider-Man, the death of Gwen Stacy is like, I think regarded as one of like the first big moments in comics that were like, this is a serious thing.
Yeah.
And like there's stories that mean something and are going somewhere and it's not all just stupid fun.
Right.
When did that happen? I want to say the 80s. Probably
No.
totally wrong.
It was way earlier than
Oh, really?
that. Let me Google. I'm not right.
Let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone knows the answer to this.
It's impossible to find out.
When did comic books become relevant again? I don't mean that in a snarky way.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean that in like when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, like comics were not significant or important at all. Like
1973, Death of Gwen Stacy.
like we had like Batman, but that was like a reincarnation starting in the late 80s. We hadn't seen anything Batman since the 60s at that point, really. And like, except for the comics.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And then,
I know what you mean.
then that begat the cartoons.
You're talking
so
about
like
mainstream stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so we had Batman, we had the Superman, like really slick Superman series that was in the same style as Batman, which was cool. And then we had like the X-Men movie in the early 2000s, I think, which was like really the beginning of like the kind of the Marvel comeback. But I don't remember comics being significant. Like if I grew up more today, like as a millennial, I assume that comics would be a bigger part of my life because they were just a bigger part of cultural mainstream. So I guess what I'm saying is like, were comics always kind of the same big? And I think the collection of people on the internet and all that kind of stuff made it bigger, or just that we were more aware of this
I hear you saying.
this subculture existing, or did comics just kind of come back? Because I'm telling you, like it wasn't weird to me and my friends that we weren't into comics. I didn't know fucking anyone that was into
No,
comics.
I was the odd man out in my group of friends who read comics.
But I feel like today everyone seems to be reading comics, and I'm like, I
think that's just because of the group we run with. Like I don't know many other people.
Well,
that read
it's a number of
comics.
things, right? It's that you can get comics now easily for free if you want on your iPad, and 2, there's comic book movies that made them incredibly relevant mainstream. But I'm with Colin. Like, I mean, growing up, I used to go to a comic book store.
Buying your Pokemon cards.
Yeah,
Did you catch them all?
I used to try to get Pogs.
Oh, yeah.
Pogs. I was
Yeah.
bummed.
Pogs.
I never really. I mean, I would buy a comic here and there, but to me, it was so hard. It was too hard. I'm like, I don't know where to jump in, and I don't really want to. I'd pick something up that was like, there was a cool run of Batman versus the Predator for a while. It was rad. I was like, I'll get all of these. That was cool. But I think that the comic book industry suffered very, very hard in the 80s and 90s because there was nothing.
Marvel was bankrupt at one point.
There was no like energizing factor. They didn't have the big movies. Mm-hmm. But it would be interesting to look at and see if comics are still struggling as an actual
it's hard to
media.
Yeah, it's now they're multimedia companies. What we're talking about, I think, is a lot like the games industry, right? And the fact that when comics were being treated as kids' toys, they were just kids' toys. And then when they let comics started breaking through and doing different things and evolving, which I think is happening in our lifetime, right? Where the Batman movie hits, it's Tim Burton, it's dark. They make the character way darker in the comics, and then they start to explore these different things and these different avenues, and the death of Superman, and making deaths matter, even though they never really stick. But coming back and doing different things, like you see people in the same way, like I always talk about video games, right? Where like I understand senators freaking out about it because they remember video games being their 8-year-old playing Mario, and then they stop playing games, and now they hear they can kill a hooker in a game, and they think of Mario, and they're 8-year-old playing it. This is the same thing here, where you have a generation that's grown up with comic books and stuff like Marv Wolfman's Teen Titans that were stories that had impact, mattered to them. So then they grow up, make their own comics, and get to start making all these stories that matter. And it might not be Supergirl or the Harley Quinn book that's like really pushing the envelope and making comics matter to people. It's now just like video games. There's these independent stories and independent comics and graphic novels people are putting out. They're just telling stories of people in their everyday lives. That's what matters. You know what I mean? Or going and pushing it down this, exploring all these different paths that you can do now. That it's easier to get comics and you don't have to worry about it. And the internet is there to be the driving force. I always think about it, in the way of like, I was the odd man out, right? In my group. Nobody else cared about comics. And so like, I remember when AOL started joining an AOL chat room group where we role played as heroes, and we'd get together every Thursday night, and we would just like be in this chat room acting like superheroes or whatever. Not like saving the day, but just like hanging out, right? Because it's like but now you can do that in a second from a million different ways, and message boards and your friends and Skype and all these different things. You go to Comic-Con or a PAX, you meet someone who's like-minded, you move across the country, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I would like to see the numbers and like video games are an interesting example because video games have only gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The internet has helped that, but video games were already arcing up and they've never arced it down. Like it's just strange. You would think that they were kind of kindred, and you would think that the people that were into games would be into comics and vice versa. Like I'm super into games. I don't care about comics, and like I feel like that's actually the exception. I don't feel that attached to nerd culture generally in a lot of ways. I have like significant connections to it in terms of video games. I have significant connections with it in terms of sci-fi, but I don't, I love high fantasy too, and then like the fictional novelizations and all these kinds of things, Tolkien, like Bradbury, all that kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff, but I don't even feel like that's really that nerdy. And maybe that's just like me. Like even Battlestar's nerdy, but I don't even feel like Battlestar is like that disconnected. It's a soap opera, but it's in space.
Battlestar's pretty nerdy.
But like I draw the line somewhere, and it's not even me being like I don't want to be into this. It's just like I'm not. I don't care. When I see something like the Arrow, I'm like this is just or Arrow whatever.
The Arrow.
I'm like this is corny. But then I think about some of the video games I like, and they're corny. And so like I'm like well maybe it's just the way I like to consume my content and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think comics are so different just because of the commitment. It's like there's so much that it's different than the other medias where it's kind of scared when you first start off. You're like, there is nowhere for me to jump in. And yeah, in a lot of ways, the internet kind of fixed that where it's like Wikipedia, you can kind of catch up, jump in wherever you want. And then also, iPads and all these things that just make it so easy to jump in whenever you want.
Heads up. A Greg way about what comics you should jump in and read that you can find here on GameOverGreggy.com. A lot of people still tweet me out of the blue and be like, hey, I want to get into comics. Where do I start? And there you go.
Start with that random issue of X-Men I bought in the 90s with Psylocke on the cover.
I think about that one too.
Because I thought she was cool.
So hot.
Yeah, she was hot. I bought a few comics when I was a kid. I would go. My brother is an animator, really into art, really into anime, and he would buy manga, not comics,
Manga?
but we would go to the city and go to these things, and I would buy G.I. Joe comic books, but I wasn't buying them. And the G.I. Joe comic books in the 80s were raw, man. And I wasn't buying them because they were comics. I was buying them because they were G.I. Joe, and then I would cut them up and put cool pictures on my wall.
Yeah.
With them.
Yeah.
Just like I did with I feel so bad. Like I have a fucking shitload of Nintendo Powers, and from the late 80s all the way to like 1998 or 1999. And I go through them sometimes, or like my old EGMs or PSMs, and I just like cut so much shit out of these magazines, man. Like I used to have in high school, especially. I had like a whole wall in my room that was just game ads, like cool ads for games.
Yeah, me too. For me, it was all Nintendo Power. Those like the fold-out posters. My room was just covered in them.
Yeah, I wish I didn't do that. I'm like, why am I putting advertisements on my wall? So there were really cool ads in the 90s for games, but like every Squaresoft ad and
I miss those times though. I feel like there's never going to be another time like that for kids, when like you were so cut off from everything that when a magazine came, you were stoked to see what that fold out was going to be.
Never going to know
though.
what was going to be on the next page.
Yeah, I mean, like that is definitely one of my greatest memories of my life. Like that is what
Like you
everything's about.
even
That's why
just
I'm
saying
where
that is
I'm here.
awesome.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
It makes me think about being a kid.
Exactly.
Yeah, no one.
It's
It's
good, man.
It's impossible. It's like Game Informer still exists, and a few of these other like kind of nerd magazines exist, but they don't have the same power anymore at all. Not only in terms of circulation, but in terms of the power of appearing in your mailbox. Like you said, like when I got, in the 1992, 1993, when I got a Nintendo Power, like my life stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like an entire day.
Being so excited to get a new EGM.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know what the fuck any of these games are. I would read every word of every page.
I would go back and read the reviews of the games that I don't care about, but
it was something special.
Yeah.
It's impossible to relate to that if you didn't grow up in that era, because it's just not like that anymore. Now we have sites like IGN that IGN existed back then too, but
Ruins everything.
But like where it's just like everything like PS4 sold 7 million units. 10 minutes later, it's on the site. If that happened in the middle of a cycle for a magazine, you'd wait 2 weeks and you would never know, that happened unless you were reading, a nerdy forum on a corner of the internet somewhere. Like I love that kind of shit, man. I do miss that. And I used to get a fucking ton of magazines in the mail. Yeah. Star Wars Insider, EGM, Nintendo Power, all like, nerdy ass like history magazines and like all, and that was awesome. And then you'd like pour through them, and then you bring them to school and read them a lot. Toy Fair was another one.
Oh, Toy Fair was so good.
And
Zach the Malamute.
I love Toy Fair.
I still have a lot of the only magazine that I ever actually thought about subscribing to, and my mom wouldn't let me because it was way too expensive. No, was Next Gen. Remember that magazine?
Next Generation was awesome. Magazine. It was really slick, big.
It was big. It had that cool
the
cover to it. Yeah. That paper.
See, another thing is the OPM with its
the demo disc. That was always huge.
That was such a game changer.
Yeah.
Like, and that's another thing. In the same way you'd read all these things over and over, like demo discs back then, you'd play so many games
PC
over
gamer.
and over that sucked. Like I remember I played the 102 Dalmatians game
a
million times just because that was the demo of the month and I wanted to beat all the things on it, and that was awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. I remember with PSM, my buddy got the first issue of PSM was Final Fantasy VII was on the cover, I think. It was 97. And I had just got my PlayStation at that time for Final Fantasy VII. And I went to his party. We played hockey on the same team. Went to his party. It's this awesome magazine. I was going through it, and it had the lid cover. You guys remember the lid covers for PS1? So every episode, every issue of PSM came with a new lid cover.
Yeah.
And the first one was like that smiley face, which was like their logo. And then every month you'd get a new one. And I would take I got PSM for like ever until I was in college. And I only paid for it for 1 year. They just kept sending it to me. I have no idea. I paid $12 for that.
Hard to believe that business model isn't working.
Well, I don't know why they never billed me again. They just never did. I paid $12 for it in 1997 and never paid for it again.
They saw something special in you.
You're going to get a huge bill now.
I don't think they exist anymore. I love those guys, though. Some of my favorite writers. And I would take the lid cover every month and put it on top of my PS1. And then, like, years later, like, my PS1 would just be, like, another half an inch
super
tall
stacked.
because it was, like, all these. And still on my door at home, my dad redid my room and like painted over all my shit because I used to write on my walls and like do all this crazy stuff, and like I had like a whole wall. I had like a huge 311 logo on it that I drew.
Of course.
That was behind my drum set in my room. And but the one thing he left was on my door handle is like the little smiley face logo from PSM, like one of the first PSMs, and it's like still on my like on the center of the thing. And I look at that and I'm like, man, that was such a great magazine and a great time. Like I trusted them. Like people trust us, like I really trusted them, and they turned me on to so many good games.
I love the covers, the art where it'd be
Yeah, they would do, like,
an
proprietary
original
art,
art piece
yeah.
for it. Oh man, that was so good.
So I used to be heavily into PC gaming back when I was a kid. And I was, I told you guys stories of like how I used to have to like boot up my computer a special way to make sure I shut down all non-essential functions so like I could just keep enough processing power to run the games. And one of the things I remember being heartbroken about was because you're a PC gamer, by the way, it was a limit to how long you had, because eventually things moved so fast that your system just wouldn't work anymore. It wasn't like you console gamers who were like, oh, it's so cool, everything has to work for my console. No, I mean, like, I remember getting
drivers and executables and
get new graphics cards and all these things, and that was before they even made new graphics cards or a graphics card. And so I remember I used to get these discs from, I think it was PC Gamer. Was it PC Gamer? Yeah, it was PC Gamer, and there was a game I think called like Fade to Black or something like that, which I thought was the coolest thing on the planet because it was a legitimate third-person shooter, which I hadn't seen that many of, and it was for the PC. And I tried to play it, and I tried as hard as humanly possible to get my system to run it, and it just wouldn't do it.
Yeah. That brings me back to the early days of emulators when the internet made it seem so easy to be able to play Super Mario RPG, which I never owned. And I was like, I rented it a bunch of times from Blockbuster, but I was too young to understand how to really play it. And when I got older, I was like maybe 13. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. Could never figure out like how to get ROMs playing and do all this shit just because.
Did you use SNES 9X or whatever it was
Yeah,
called?
Exactly.
Yeah, and Nesticle. Those were like
Nesticle,
those were. I remember with an Apple. I had an Apple II emulator, and you had to run something on your computer to make your computer run slower. Do you guys remember this? It was like a thing that would like cut the processing power of your computer so that the games in the Apple II emulator wouldn't run like a mile a minute. I don't know like what it was called. It was like something you had to like specially do to your computer, like to your system. This was in the 90s.
The overclocking? Is that what you're talking about?
No, that would be the exact opposite, right?
No, but I mean with overclocking though, you could set it lower too.
Yeah, I guess that's like it was something that like would eat your processing power. Do something. I'm not very technical. Where like it would make the Oregon Trail, whatever the fucking you were playing, Number Munchers, would not like run like crazy because it was made for like a really slow computer. That was good. Those were good times. I haven't messed with emulators in a long time since my PSP was hacked and I had an NES emulator on that. And that was the last time I ever messed with them because I have all these cartridges.
PSP, the day that got hacked was like the best Christmas of my life because then all of a sudden it's like I have every one of my childhood games in my hands and it was so good. Yeah, like to PSP this day, PSP is still my like go-to portable of choice.
Oh, nice.
Just because I can play all my favorite games.
Okay. So I think we covered well what would happen if Batman was real.
Went off on a tangent on that one.
Nah, that's what happens.
Sure.
But it would be a disaster, basically. And he'd be killed probably right away.
Probably killed.
Yeah.
He'd be an outlaw.
No, brother. They have to find someone in the wreckage.
Tim, what's your topic?
I'm going to go with something very near and dear to my heart. Mm-hmm. I feel like we've all been in this situation.
Uh-oh.
And I want you guys' thoughts on the situation, advice to give to the people out there that might be in this situation, and just any stories you might have about the friend zone.
Friend zone's tough. Explain the friend zone.
So the friend zone is when you really like someone and you guys are really good friends. But you want to be more than friends.
No, let's call it what it is. It's she doesn't like you. And so what she says to you is, that's the way it always is. You're only in the friend zone. Most guys are not in the friend zone by choice, right? You're generally in the friend zone, or you feel like you're in the friend zone, or you think about the word friend zone when the person you like doesn't like you back, right? Then you're automatically put in their friend zone.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't get out.
So that's what you said.
It's like crossing the event horizon.
It's been my experience. Exactly like that. It's been my experience that the only way to beat that game is to stop playing it. Mm-hmm. Or to not play it at all, to use a war game reference.
Very good.
Thank you. I have been in so many of those situations because when I was a kid, we've all talked about this, before my shadowboxing career, I was overweight.
Yeah.
And maybe it was a self-confidence issue, I don't know. But I just never thought of myself as like someone who could get that girl. And so I would go after girls. I would like pine after women, but I would always love the concept of like being kind of secretly, I'd be like, oh, she's never going to like me. And I'd kind of, for some reason, take solace in that for some odd reason. But then when I started actually going after girls, and they would immediately put me in the friend zone because they were like, this guy's cool, but I'm not really attracted. I'm more attracted to Ty, which is what always used to happen in college. It started to piss me off. And after a while, I'm like, the only person that can change this situation is me. This girl's not gonna, like, once she's beyond that, I'm not. It would take such a monumental effort to change her perspective of me that I really just need to move on. And that's basically where it is. Like, guys, most of the time, you're not getting the girl. She's not going to see the same way she sees the quarterback. Leave it alone. Go find someone who likes you for who you are. That's what I say.
Damn. Nick Scarpino laying on the truth. Drop the mic. Don't, please. They're expensive and they barely work as is. No, I mean, that's it, right? You got to cut and run. I was friend zoned like Nick all the time in high school. Just got to brush it off. Go about your business.
So when you say all the time, with both of you, was there one that was like the friend zoning of friends?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
And I tried repeatedly because I was young and stupid, right? You'd be like, well, I'll give you 3 months and I'll ask you out again. Nope, still not interested. You're like, well, I'll give this 3 months.
I had a very interesting triangle that happened. So I liked this girl who liked my friend, who was still hung up on this other girl who liked me. And so it was
it's
the
not a
weird
triangle.
square. I'm sorry.
Because I was like, Nick,
There's 4 people involved with this.
Sorry, my bad. It's a square or a rhombus, depending on the position of where we are in the room.
Could be a rectangle.
Some sort of polygon.
Tetrahedron.
It's just something weird. But it ended up being really, really weird. I was like madly in love with this girl, and she liked my good friend. And, dude, I was just like hanging in there for as hard as I could. I actually had a couple crushes in high school. One, I used to use crushes to get over other crushes, which is just so...
It's naive.
It's just naive and counterproductive. It's stupid. I was in love with this girl for 4 years until she graduated. She was a year ahead of me. And for the longest time, I just could not get her out of my brain. And then finally, this other girl came around. And I pushed it all off to her. Then it ended up being interesting because I ended up finally getting the girl that I liked, but it was too late and I didn't like her anymore.
Oh.
So it was like years later. It was a few years later after I'd like gone to college and this and that. And she was like, hey, I kind of like you. I realized it actually worked out. She goes, I realized the error of my mistake, but I had forced myself to move beyond it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't do this. I can't feel this way for God knows how long until you do it. So I did what I thought a man had to do, was move beyond. And all my friends were super supportive too. They'd go, hey, dickhead, she's never going to love you. Leave it alone. You're an idiot. And they would pound that into me until eventually I left it off.
So you just cried and that was the truth.
Yeah.
What about you, Tim? You getting friend zoned?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But see, your thing is this: you look for women that you know are going to put you in the friend zone. Up until lately,
Was his
you're
girlfriend?
a cool guy.
His girlfriend?
His girlfriend.
What the?
He didn't do it like
Nick?
that. That's weird.
Is that how he did it? I can't remember. It was weeks ago. Like, it doesn't matter.
What was even going on here? I liked it.
You're tossing the ring out.
Oh.
She's going to put it on her finger. You like it.
Okay.
Put a ring on it. You used to look for girls that, like, you would pick girls that you knew you couldn't get because you could get girls. It was a weird thing that you used to do. Now you finally kind of gave that up and now you're dating and it's
So like
good.
you say used to do, as if
Well, now you have a girlfriend.
This has happened. Yeah, okay.
Ever since I've known you, there have been like 3 or 4 girls you've pined after.
Has it been? There's no
2 that I can think of. Both of them I met. They look oddly similar because they're both tiny Asian girls.
I get what he's saying.
Oh, now I understand his point.
Yeah.
Now I get his point.
And then I think eventually you just hit a point where you kind of move beyond it, right? Like, I think I don't know if you accepted it or not.
Yeah, I don't even know really what happened with it. It just kind of happened. But one of those girls is a much bigger
thing than the other.
There was one girl that a good 10 years of my life was just
Friend
in love with her.
Were you in the friend zone?
I mean, well, yeah.
You can admit that now, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever get out of
I would always have admitted that, like I was. But at the same time, and like I still say this now, like I know she's wrong about this, and she's just not admitting it to herself. And like she probably would admit it to herself now. She damn well might be watching this.
That you're what you're meant to be?
Yeah. I mean, I know that she is in love with me. I know that for a fact.
Are you still in love with her?
I mean, to an extent of just like I care about her a lot.
Oh, sure,
but
sure,
not
sure.
in the sense of like
Now, let me ask you
doing
this.
I would
Well,
never
I
get
don't
with her
care
at this
that.
point.
Okay.
No matter what happens.
Yeah.
Like,
That's all
if
that
I was
matters.
not with Kara. and
That's
if
all
I
that
was not-
matters. Because at the end of the day, like there are women in my past that I probably, if I were being honest with myself, actually probably not. There might be a girl in my past that I might still have some sort of feeling for, but it's all just nostalgia. It's for what could have been. And at the end of the day, there's no way I would leave my wife for any woman out there.
It's a very interesting thing because when you're in the moment, it's so hard to see anything else. And it's so just the only thing you can do is just kind of like love the idea of it more than anything. Then you eventually fall in love with the idea, not even with them.
Right.
And you just want it to be
'Cause you fantasized about it for so
it's just
long.
Like, this is what perfect is.
It will read in the park and
Whatever
drink
it is.
coffee
No.
in
See,
the sky.
here's how nerdy I used to be. When I imagined the relationship at night, you're sleeping in your bed and you're thinking about the girl and you're like, all the situations that could occur. Then I would start thinking about Batman. Then I would start thinking about myself as Batman. Then I would think about myself as Batman saving the girl.
Of course, yeah. We've all done that.
Have y'all done that?
Yeah.
I'm not the
I
only
have
one.
not done that.
Really?
You've done that.
No.
Do it tonight. You'll enjoy it.
I'll do it tonight.
Do it tonight. Go home and be like this. And I would just imagine situations where I could be the hero because that's what I thought I would need to do to change this girl's opinion of me.
Mm-hmm.
And in
Look at-
reality,
And look at us now, just not even being heroic enough to stop blowing on your coffee to save someone's life.
and now in reality, all I can think about is Starbucks. That's all I want.
That's it. It brought you there.
No, but it sucks. It's something that you got to really deal with. And for guys, it sucks to say, but you don't have a lot of power when you're young. You don't have, like, when you're in high school, when you're in junior high or high school or college, generally you don't have a lot of influence over women for who you are. It doesn't happen until later where you start getting a career and you start really establishing yourself, and then women can start to see you for the man that you're going to become or are becoming, right? And I felt so much of high school was very superficial. It was very much that guy's cute, that girl's cute, let's hook up. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's high school and it's only 4 years and it ends. College, 4 years, ends. Everything after college, that's when the stuff really starts mattering. So if you got a girl that you like and you can't get her, don't worry about it because there'll be more. And by the time you're 30, you'll be a badass.
See, it's more than not even worrying about it. Like, to me, at least, I feel like it was very important to go through that and to get hurt over and over and over to now be able to look back on it and be like, realize, not that it didn't matter, because it did matter, but it's like, it made me who I am now. And like, it's just crazy to be able to look back at the whole situation with an understanding of it, because now I realize, so I spent 10 years doing that. And then somewhere in that 10 years, the other girl came along. And the only reason I liked her was because she reminded me of girl one.
Mm-hmm.
And like that
Oddly
causes a
similar
whole
body
bunch of
types.
other problems. And that's bad. There's nothing good about that at all. But what's crazy is I now realize that while this was all going on, I was friend zoning my other friend that was a girl that wanted me. I was doing the same thing to some other girl because I was into this girl.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how like this cycle just works where
It's vicious.
yeah. But I feel like it's important to go through it.
Yeah, it's necessary.
And it leads you to where you should be.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
Hopefully. Some guys don't get beyond it. And that sucks. You gonna do it?
Nope.
It's the 18th.
You've been
beyond.
hanging these fat, low pitches right across center
Guys,
plate.
this has been
Meatballs
nuts.
Right
over the
across
plate.
the plate. I'm just trying not to swing.
Yeah. Although it's true though. I think back on that time of my life, and although I was miserable, I was like insanely happy because it's nice to have that. But because it's nice to have something that occupies that much of your time and like heart, Yeah. And it's not that I don't have that now. I just have a lot of things. Like we talk about this a lot. We work at IGN where it's like every day you have to deal with 400 things, and then your boss will come over and tell you have to deal with one more, and you're like this close to snapping and just bringing in the katana blades that you've kept sharp.
I'd stop you with my S-cross sticks.
There would. Greg, it's not happening.
They could be steel.
Although the cool thing about the bow was if they got cut in half, then it became the cool like Bruce Lee sticks.
Yeah, that's always a cool moment.
I always thought that was
happens.
really cool. Yeah. Did you guys ever have that? Did you ever have a girl you were like mad about when you were young in high school?
Yeah.
You got friend zoned?
No, I didn't get friend zoned until college. I've really only been friend zoned once. I've done more friend zoning than anything.
He keeps doing it to me.
There was a girl.
take your
There was
advances?
I dated the same girl in high school for 2 years, but there was a girl in high school. She went to a different school, and there was a girl that I went to school with that I was like, I just loved, and we actually, she was like way out of my league. Like I was kind of like in the middle of popularity, and she was like really popular, beautiful girl, and we ended up like talking. She thought I was like so funny and shit like that, and like ended up like becoming friends. Then like I'd go over to her house, and then we were kind of getting interested in each other. Then it all fell apart. I'm not going to go into that on the air. But I'll tell you guys later. It's just it's not bad. It's just funny.
She found out you were into bondage.
Yeah, she found out all the fucked up things I was into when I was
like
16
rubber
years old.
play.
But when I got to college, the only time I was ever friend zoned was there was this girl I loved her. She was like so hot and so cool. She was in a few of my classes, and she friend zoned me. But I would see we were talking about how like it's the event horizon and you can't get out of the friend zone. Like I crawled and beat my way out of the friend zone, got out of it a couple times, where we would fool around.
Got out of it a couple times. I like that.
Yeah, where we would fool around.
Then rubber banded right back into it.
Yeah, and then back into the friend zone again. like get a little taste, and then back into the friend zone.
I had
My friends still bring that girl up to me, by the way, which is so funny to me. Like,
are you friends with her on Facebook?
No, I don't think so.
Too bad. I want to see her.
And but so that was the only time I was friend zoned by someone, but I was also friend zoning other people because throughout college I dated the same girl for the most of it, and I was friends with a lot of girls, like a ton of them. And I don't know why that was. It's because I majored in something like I was in poli-sci. There's a lot of girls in there. I just kind of accumulated these friends that were girls. They were all in the same group and they were awesome, like really cool chicks. Still friends with them today, but one of them, was like really into me, and I was into her for a little while. And then I was like, this was the whole trepidation. This was, I was like, it's college and everything's ephemeral, and like I don't want to ruin our friendship and then my friendship with everyone else in the group because we are gonna date for a little while and then fuck it up, and then I won't have like my buddies anymore. Like my like I hung out with these girls every day, like for years, and they were just so important to me. So there was a couple times there where I put them in the friend zone, but then like you would not be with this girl, then you would try to reverse it, but you can't really do that, and it was very complicated. I mean, it all worked out for the best, but that was a pretty complicated situation with women in college for me. Like, women in college was very complicated. It was there's like fucking threads going all over the goddamn place, and I tried to keep my ducks in a row by like respecting my friendships with these girls, and I put them in that zone, I guess, that I didn't really mean to. But they're all much better off now. Most of them are married, doing great. So like it's it worked out for the best for everyone. But yeah, thinking about it in that time, in that context, it was difficult. It was a difficult time because you didn't want to put them in the friend zone, and you didn't want to be in the friend zone, and you understand it. Everyone's self-aware of the friend zone. Sure. It exists. If that girl that I was in love with when we were freshmen, and then I would crawl out of the friend zone and they get back, she knew. And that's like what kind of pissed me off the most about it was that she fucking knew. She knew like I was in love with her. She like knew that I was in the friend zone. She knew I would crawl the fuck out of the friend zone whenever I could, and then she would just kick me right back into it. And I was like, whatever.
There's this theory of the ladder theory, where once you get too far up the ladder, you can't jump over to the other ladder. Like, if you're still low enough, you can still go back down and run over to the other ladder. But once you hit this certain point, it's like you're there. And then, the self-aware kicks in, where it's just like, this is it. There is no going back from this. Right. And something interesting you just brought up with the getting out of it and getting pulled back in, that I think is the most important part of the friend zone learning experience, where you finally get it. You get what you want, and something happens. Like, what?
Friend zone learning experience, FLE.
Sorry,
continue.
No, it's important, and it's that moment when you win and you get something, whatever that is, whether it's a kiss or whether it's the love letter of, what, I love you, like, and you're like, oh my god, that feeling of elation that you get, where you're just like, my life's perfect. It's like that
everything you dreamed of.
Spider-Man 3, when he's just walking down the street and things are just good for him, and it happened.
That is not the same thing. That's like, he's all terrible then.
No,
it's like the scene at the end of Spider-Man 2 when she says, "Go get him, Tiger," and he puts on his mask and jumps out. That's perfect. Like that.
No, there's a happy scene that he has.
There is a happy scene.
Before the dancing, weird.
Okay.
But raindrops keep on.
Exactly that part.
Yeah.
And he feels
really
so
weird.
You just feel so good, and you're just so happy. But you can't sleep for a good reason.
That's Spider-Man 2.
Oh, it is. Yeah, you're right.
Because then he drops the glasses. Remember? Yeah. You guys don't fucking know you're Spider-Man. You
sicken me.
I
didn't say it.
You sicken me.
Don't you push that mic in front of my face one more time.
What are you gonna do, a scumbag?
I'm not a scumbag, but douchebag.
But I think that is the best feeling in the entire world. I don't think anything has ever, for me at least, reached that point of just like, I just won my life.
Right.
But by the same token, when that then comes crashing down, you get brought back. That is the opposite, and that is the worst feeling.
Yeah, it sucks because you got
your stomach just feels hollow.
You got to taste that victory.
I am useless.
I don't think I've ever had that experience. Really? I don't think I've ever had the experience of like scoring that one thing from the girl that I really, really liked. What I've had the experience of is realizing that potentially other girls I was putting them in the friend zone and then hooking up with them. And it sounds terrible, but I used to do that. Like, I would be like, oh, this girl likes me. And I had such low self-esteem. I would be like, anyone that likes me, gets a shot. Like it was sad. It was like I wouldn't care.
Nick,
for these
I'll
people.
try anything once, Scarpino.
No, and it got me into trouble. And I lost a friendship over it. A really good friendship. I used to have a good friend from junior high and high school. Years later, after he dated this girl, and I knew he was still sort of kind of hard up on her, but I was like, oh, it's been years. Like, he'll do whatever. She was like, hey, we were at a party, and she was, like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know what's going on, and we hooked up. And then I was like, why did I just do that? Like, that's a bad idea. I know I can rationalize it to myself that this is not going to hurt my friend because it's been years, but realistically, he was like in love with this girl in high school, and she cheated on him in high school with one of our other good friends.
Damn.
Who their friendship was gone, and sure as hell, I don't know why I did it, but I did it probably because she was a hot Asian girl. And I was like, I need this experience, and right after it, I was like, this was terrible, and I told my friend, and it ended our friendship. Like, he just had his first kid. I had no idea. I just found that out from another one of our friends.
Oh.
So it sucks. But it is one of those things where like you were saying before, going back to it, I had that happen to me so many times where I'd fall in love with someone and they'd want someone else, that eventually I was just like, I'm just going to focus on me, and I'm just going to like meet people and put a little bit of a guard up. And it starts to work after a while, because you're like, you can't really control how other people are going to feel about you. You can just control who you are. Yep. And what you've accomplished and how cool of a person you are, or how good of a person you are. And then eventually, if you're confident in that, you will attract other people. Mm-hmm. And you will finally attract a healthy relationship that is not borderline psychotic, when you're like, I'll just leave rose petals on all over her car. And then like her mom's pissed because you picked the rose petals from her own garden or something weird like that.
Does that really happen? Did that happen?
It's happened before. Or it was my mom that used to get pissed. She's like, what the fuck is happening to all my roses? Like, where are they all going? And
You're
I'm
like, I need to paint the cars, mother.
We've talked about this. Yeah, I used to do weird things. Yeah, Riverside was always a fun place to grow up in, because the nights were super warm, so you could just be out until whenever. It was like not cold. You never had to go in. So I used to like, it wasn't stalking. It was trying to be romantic.
Keep telling yourself that.
Well, that's the thing with the friend zone too, though, is like there is the most thin line between creepy and romantic.
Oh yeah,
and that thin line is, does she like you?
Mm-hmm.
I dated a girl in high school. This was actually one of those interesting situations where like she was super cute but kind of nerdy, and everyone kind of hated her because they couldn't relate to her, because she just said like really weird things all the time, because she wanted to be accepted so badly that eventually it just had the opposite effect, where everyone's like, shut up and go away. But one day we were talking, and I was like, you're actually kind of a cool like, she was just kind of being normal, and I'm like, you're actually kind of a cool person. And I was still trying to get over this other girl from the rhombus, and I was like, you know what, we should date. Like, we should go out. I should take you to dinner. And she's like, that would be awesome. And we had this amazing relationship. But she had a guy that was like her friend, and he's like, no, we're friends. And he used to like, and he lived right up the street from me, literally 5 houses up the street from me. So he used to like walk by my house when she was over, and like knock on the door and then go away. And like one time he knocked on the door, and I opened up, and he's like, I know she's in there, and I don't appreciate the way you're treating her. And I was like, dude, we're just like chilling. We're just watching TV. And he's like, and then eventually it got bad, because then eventually my stoner friends from high school got involved, and they were like, we got it, bro. And I was like, I don't want you to have it. I don't want you to do any of this stuff. Dude. And they would do stuff like every weekend for like 5 weeks or 6 weeks. They would just find ways to like TP his house, or like pee on his car, or like they'd wait for him to walk, and they'd be like, we got this. And I'm like, don't. This is something bad. Saying, yeah, I'm like, stop doing it, because it was like
they kept forgetting that they already took care of it.
They literally just wait in my yard for him to walk by, and he used to walk by at night, just go on walks at night, and like, quote unquote, I don't know if he was like keeping the neighborhood safe, or I don't know. He was a weird guy.
He was the Batman.
Yeah, he was
I think he was trying to be Batman, but he would
Batman.
go for walks, and I made the mistake of telling my friends that one time. They were like,
we got this.
They were like, we got this. And so literally they just come over every night, like around the time, like 2:00 in the morning. They just come over and just wait for him.
It's a weird ass time to walk.
That is so weird.
They'd get him. It was borderline like weird. He had some issues, but he would walk by, and then they'd see him, and of course they wouldn't be sober.
They just have bats.
No, they wouldn't. They would just do the thing that like they would just see him like, hey, what's up, man? Hey, that's a great jacket. Hey, great shoes. Hey, what are you doing tonight? hey, you want to go for a walk with it? And they just heckle him as he'd walk by, because he would wear like a trench coat and stuff. And this was right around the time, by the way,
trench coat mafia
stuff. Like he would wear like,
I'm just walking around at 2 a.m. in a trench coat.
Well, it was really weird, and they were like, this dude's weird, and they were like, and I'm like, you guys can't. In my brain, I'm like, don't escalate this, because I don't want this to be like a thing where he brings a shotgun to school and then I have to blame. And my friends were like, we don't care.
We got this.
We got it. Like they would, and they're great friends, and I'm still friends.
They'd fall out of their van like Spicoli in the parking lot. Fast times.
Well, I guess because I didn't smoke weed in high school, but I guess when you're really high, you just don't care. Like when you hit that level of high, you're like, it doesn't matter if this guy's got a shotgun. It doesn't matter that he literally knows we're coming and is yelling at us to stop peeing on his car. They're just gonna keep peeing on his car. Like they used to try to arc it so that they could get it in the sunroof. And I'm like, guys, stop. I would plead. And they're like, stop doing that. I wouldn't plead that hard. But I'm like, stop doing this. And they were like, dude, it's good.
At what point did any of them suggest that at 2 a.m. you just be out there shadowboxing with them, just shirtless, just fucking throwing punches, and they're just like all around, like revving you up?
That's actually some of the reason why I used to shadowbox was because I was like, I'm not gonna be intimidated by this guy. I'll just sit out there and like. And at the
throw some punches.
At the time, I thought,
how do you answer crazy trench coat guy? By being crazy shadowboxing guy.
Crazy shirtless shadowboxing guy.
Oh my god.
Shirtless.
You're like cutting yourself and then just fucking.
I used to be really flexible too. I used to be able to like kick like the top, like the branch that was like the lowest hanging branch. I'd be able to kick that, and I would think I was super cool. And like I would do all like really fast moves all the time, like wow, and they would look so cool. And my shadow would be like mirroring.
Is the girl just on the porch the whole time? Like, you're doing great, Nick. Great for shadowboxing, honey.
No one really saw it, I don't think.
Okay.
Thankfully. If there's video of it somewhere, probably.
I would pay so much for that. I would pay so much for shadowboxing.
So when you meet my brother, you haven't met my brother yet.
No.
Ask him about that.
Okay.
Because I used to do it all the time. I'd get like tired and I would just start like shadowboxing, and his friends would see me, and they'd be like, look at him, look at him, he's doing it again. And they just
We need to get him on the show.
Oh, you need to get my brother on the show.
That would be the worst idea of all time.
It's the worst. When he's up next week, we'll.
And then all of our topics are the same. Embarrassing Nick stories.
Yeah.
I just let him go.
Oh, it's the worst. That'd be the worst. I'd be fine with that though.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's how the great game. God damn it! That's how the Game Over Greggy show worked. Came out of the blocks immediately. Tripped. Every week, 4 best friends gather on this here table, each bringing a random topic of conversation, and we talk it out for your amusement. If you like that, make sure you like this video or wherever you're watching it, because if you go to Bandcamp, you can get our shows there for $1. The MP3 goes up Friday. The entire show. That's GameOverGreggy.bandcamp.com, or you wait it out and go to YouTube.com/GameOverGreggy. We put it up day by day, topic by topic. Then Friday, the whole show goes up for your amusement without charging you one single dime. Go buy a t-shirt, please. You can get them at districtlines.com/GameOverGreggy and start planning your trip for our next panel, which I guess would be Rooster Teeth, right?
RTX.
4th
of July weekend.
4th of July weekend. There'll be a Game Over Greggy show panel there. Come hang out with us. Talk to us then. Gentlemen.
Greg.
Thank you for your work.
Yes.
Continue to do God's work.
Hey.
I will.